Straight into the sun, straight into the sun. On a late Monday, 21st of July. Rock and roll into the sun. It's a bit on the chilly side day today, 21. With the wind, it feels a bit chilly. Yours truly, turn your heads left or right before you cross the street. Should we let the main out? Let the main out. We're going to into the wilderness on the mountain. Just gonna drop a little bit of that good rock and roll here, and we're gonna go all the way to the mountain, maybe by the sun. Got some sun, beautiful sun. Thank you, farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, plumbers, electricians, firefighters. Gaze into the sun a little bit, going on the zigzag. Always for the plumbers, the electricians, the welders. Beautiful sun down where you can see part of the horizon, how it flicks and clacks and how it goes on the black and the white and the rainbow. There's a little bit of, if you see, there's part of blackness and then slightly white, and then it goes on the golden side. So it's kind of multicolor with the black and the white in between, you know, kind of all the colors plus the black and the white, and then you have, of course, the rainbow, and that's why we rock and roll with that, and that's why I do it for the love. I feel good today, less moody than last week. Last week I had a moody Monday. Today I'm grateful, thankful, rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. And gonna zigzag here, turn across the street safely, prudently from my neighborhood. Gonna zigzag it. Was about to go to the river, but I kind of changed my mind. I said gears and shift gears, maybe pass by my old neighborhood, maybe pass by, oh whatever. Just go zigzag to my second home, the mountain. Friday, you know, we went to the mountain, and now we can always go a little bit like snake style, because I want to get as much sun as possible. And of course I went shopping secondhand, so I'm a bit excited. Got a backpack, kept under budget. I had a budget allocated, so I bought for less than I was allocated, and that was also a little bit of happiness, you know, a little bit of joy. Bought 4 items and put them online already. You can see at the thrift store. First time that I'm going at the thrift store there, and of course I'm going at the thrift store there, and that's what I got. Got a little bit of that good toothbrushes, and you know, that floss. So I'm gonna have to start flossing. You know, I know the new program from Canada is available now. You have to apply and for those teeth, but of course it's upkeep and maintenance. You gotta upkeep and wash those teeth. And you know, being rebirthing, yours truly died during COVID, died before, died when I moved, and I guess I'm on my 4th rebirth this summer. Beautiful yellow flowers. 4th start over in the past, I don't know how many years, because you know my memory goes black out before like spring 2014-ish. Before that I have a little bit of trouble remembering my life. Sometimes it comes back, the memory, but that's how it is with that. And here I am. It is 2025, July 21st. And I went to this thrift store. My anonymous friend made me some sandwiches. Thank you, Double Trouble. Good sandwiches for you to and for my face, we're gonna go focus a little bit on that garden. Beautiful gardens here that you got, you know. Oh yeah, that's it. It's really beautiful. Isn't that just gorgeous? Yeah, I love bright colors, flowers, and we always have a variety of gardens here where you can, of course, admire those flowers as well. And yellow, love those yellow flowers like those ones, but love all types of course, colorful flowers, and which we, of course, see on the way as I'm freestyling for the farmers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the plumbers, the electricians, the welders. Beautiful sky. I'm a bit excited, happy, joyous, you know. Still weird because I got that Asperger's, and that's something which, of course, cannot be removed because it's not an illness, it's not a disease, it's just this neurodivergence with which I live with, and I'm good at some things while I'm less good, and mediocre, average, so-so, and less able at some other things, while of course I am good at excellent at rock and roll, geopolitics, sports and fitness. When it comes to dancing, that is my favorite sport. As the beautiful sun now sets, sun now rises. It is 7:44, I believe, when I stepped out. And before I went for another 2 hours, so it's a cumulative, I guess, a little bit of that workout, fitness. Last week, a few days moody, but now I left a little bit on with that joy on me, my face, because, you know, although financially stressed, and I said I was almost didn't go work out, but then I said, hey, you know, there's truckers on the road. There's butchers, there's nurses, there's ambulance across the 63, first responders across the 63, you know, construction workers, public workers, nurses, doctors. There's of course many public workers in all the different fields respectively, and there's thousands of truckers on the road now. You know, maybe they're a little bit of in need of a massage therapy session. That's really something which could embellish my whole life on a daily, weekly basis. Just to have a regular massage. Any volunteers willing to trade, you know, because I live a very fit, active lifestyle, just still financially stressed, mostly because of inability to maintain long-term employment due to this neurological mental divergent condition with which I live with, known as Asperger's. I have N.A.C.W.P. So this Asperger's, of course, makes us Aspies a little bit more bizarre, awkward, odd, and strange when it comes to certain social interactions and the modalities and abilities of our social aspects of our daily routines and daily life, which are completely engaged and fully directed towards what are called our special interests, which can be, of course, to the detriment of other areas of society, which can be, of course, things of such as socializing and can not understand fully certain social cues and social dynamics, and sometimes we can be pretty direct and direct, beautiful, direct, and when it comes to being direct and whatever the case may be, that is something which we can bring offense to somebody or misunderstandings, but sometimes that's what I guess we have to work with. We have to work on our characteristics, not symptoms, again, because it's not a mental illness. But once again, salutations to fellow Aspie. Support my dream, this Aspie, who's an artist, athlete, philosopher, a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and of course, mystic. So I believe in reincarnations. Gotta check a little bit of that fridge here. Grateful, thankful that we got that fridge and we got that go, we got that left and right, and we got the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters, the plumbers, the electricians. We gotta get a little bit of that loving for that, and that's all we got, and that's how we're gonna get drilling here. You know, oh wow, somebody's gonna make a little bit of that good loving. It's got some good fruits, good vegetables, veggies if you want. Oh, these are interesting. Oh yeah, these are interesting. So I'm gonna take some of these myself, and that's about it, I guess. Just a few of these. That's all you're gonna get. That's how you're gonna rock and roll, man. Always. The butchers, the bakers, and that's all you gotta get, you know. Yeah, show yourself, and so I got 4 and 4, and that's all you got there, you know. Something which we got apple is, you know. Here we go. Here we are. You can take that, and you can take on that, and that's what you got, and that's how you got to rock and roll with that. Oh yeah, see, you can take food if you want, and that's how we're gonna take it, and we're gonna take some food and make sure we got it on the go. And what do we have here? Oh, we have some dog food. Somebody left a lot of dog food. I guess that's good for the dogs if they so want, you know, to get. You can get dog food with that, and you can get it on the go, man, you know. Sometimes it's you gotta get from the butchers, the bakers, the lovers. It's going in the go, and just the romaine lettuce. The parts of it are going bad, so I'm just gonna remove parts of it, and that's it, you know. Parts of romaine lettuce, I guess, can remove to go bad with it, but some of it are gonna stay, and some of it are gonna go on the side, you know. See, I got something in my eye. That's all we got, and that's all we gotta go drilling. Dogs, somebody has left some of that dog concentrate for dogs, and this is, I guess, for dogs. Not this one. This one is just for humans. Broth. But see, for dog food, I guess it's getting expensive, so you can get a little bit of that dog food, you know. So if you're so well, I guess, if you have dogs or pets, that is always something which you can check for yourself. And if you're so inclined, you got some dog food, I guess, dogs. If they're poodles, I compare. If they're not, I'm having more difficulty with dogs that have long, thick fur. You know, I sneeze, I get kind of start sneezing. Allergic reactions, basically, but I don't know how severe they get, because I always let the person know that due to the fur of certain dogs, the length and the thickness of the fur, I'm kind of hard to pet them too much. But not at all, really. Except for poodles. Poodles I can pet all day. Even they can sleep with poodles, and that's about how I go. Rock and roll in the sun, encouraging all to work out, train, exercise, and with consent, HUG, hug for me too, and never gonna say no to a hug, and some good loving friends with benefits only, play that black, white, and rainbow. I'm not only part of the neurodivergent community, but the LGBTQ community, centrist though, pro-labor and love. Revolutionary centrist, always for the workers, the truckers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the firefighters, and the plumbers. Always got to give some creditation to the welders, to the workers in the daycares, changing some of those diapers, train conductors. Canada, coast to coast, tough economic times, you know. And I am, of course, an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist and strategist, and my strategies, of course, are for the North American Collective as I march down to the King, my Pope, the Sun, and gonna turn a little bit of that left, right, or I kind of maybe just gonna go straight into the sunset, into the sun, maybe do that and switch around. Now let's go zigzag. Let's go towards the mountain. I guess we can go towards the mountain, and we can appellate, you know, to get a little bit of salutation for the bus drivers. I don't know how much they're making, but prices of everything are going up, you know. Everything is going up. Prices of everything is going up. Even today I noticed some more prices increasing, although there were some specials on the market, which I gotta give a shout out to my anonymous friend who made some sandwiches, so that's always good. And when I get back, I'm gonna be having the privilege of getting some of that ice cream, some good of that pistachio green. And it's tough times, and I gotta say, you know, before I go, that I predicted what's happening now back in 2019. So I predicted that in 2019. Be careful for lighters there, you know. You gotta dispose of it properly in case if you don't want any youth or children playing with it. I gotta disinfect my hands, of course, but now I got those hands disinfected because I carry in the backpack. But if there's young children, you don't want children playing with that too much. So I give the benefit of the doubt. I give the benefit of the doubt that the person XYZ left it there by mistake or neglect or forgetfulness. It's just that when we're in the public, we have added responsibilities, duties, and obligations which do not concord when we are in our own private individual quarters, places, whether mansions or myself, my dragon's lair, humble dragon's lair, bigger than where I used to live. I used to live in a very small underground moldy place in N.A.C.W.P, still on the island of Montreal, still in N.A.C.W.P, Hawk Island, Montreal. But I thought I moved in 2016 summer, but it seems that I moved actually in 2016. Look how beautiful that building looks. Look how beautiful that building looks. In 2015 supposedly, so 10 years instead of what I thought 9. So I'm celebrating this month 10 years, and I got those blackouts, retrograde amnesia, memory loss, and I have trouble accessing memories of my life prior to 2014, you know. 2014, spring. To be exactly precise, spring 2014, so it's kind of difficult for me to access memories of my life and prior to spring 2014. And I moved from that moldy underground place, very small, lots of mold, like a tight prison type of cell, like a prison cell with lots of mold, lots of mold, and like a small prison cell with moldiness and mold and black mold, whitish mold, reddish, greenish type of mold, and that type of moldness. And that's what it was. And I moved from there. I was attacked by surprise. I gotta go retrieve my archives. I don't know if they're still got, because after a few years, I guess they don't keep the archives, but I'm hoping that I can retrieve the archives, because I was attacked by surprise when I lived there, so more than 10 years ago. And I fell and had a dislocated right shoulder arm. Let's cross there. Had a dislocated right shoulder, right arm was dislocated, and I went to the Jewish General Hospital. It was cracked back together. It was like placed back, put back together, like, and I was put on some type of like medication, type of meds, and I was bloodied up. I was bloodied up. A vicious attack surprise. I was bloodied up and had that hit my head on the concrete and had a dislocated right arm, shoulder, and I got plenty of scars on my body and I have trouble accessing my memory, Whatever the case may be, most of my work relates to several levels of my geopolitical theoretical analysis, which is my work mainly, of course, focuses on geopolitical theory, analysis, and development of strategy. So most of my work, which is embodied in the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, is of course the call to the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, of course, is the call for a public-private partnership, as I'm calling all willingly loving, as I state pledge your legions, or friends with benefits only. That's the Double Trouble song, and I don't will to waste nobody's time. Time is with the life and how we have our energies, our categories, and our daily life today, 2025, and that's just how I gonna rock and roll from now on. And I've been rock and rolling on this for a while now. So as we rock and roll on these toes, for the youth, gotta salute. Sometimes just take the moment and begin our fitness journey. I always say my fitness journey begins today, My fitness journey always begins today. That has been, is, and will be my attitude, and I have been and will call for a mass public-private partnership for citizens to be financed, to work out, to train, to exercise, and working out, training, exercising, has been and is and will be my medicine and therapy of choice, and has been ever since. So that's just how we're gonna rock and roll with this beauty. Look at that beauty. Please give some charity if you're a millionaire, billionaire. Billionaires. Wall Street closed today. Didn't check the stock markets, but with the new tariffs of 35% coming on the horizon, that's always going to be a little bit of more difficulties, because we're already in a tough economic place for most of us. And paradoxically, my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, is what's needed to be. I'm going to give a salutation to the garbage collectors, aka sanitation workers, which of course are going to come and are going to take that sanitation and they're going to do some of that arbeit with it, and we're going to go drilling with that, and we're going to go zigzagging towards the mountain, towards the sun, and so we're going to think about that labor. And I put my garbage out today, and I'm going to think about the work which is being done now, work which is being done now, and which has been done now, and which is going to correlate, of course, to be continuously done in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead, as we're going to move towards the Democratic Imperial Republic, which is, of course, part of my dream, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, fundamentally a call towards a public-private partnership via my Trinity of theories, the strategies, the DRT, debt refusion theory, the DFT, democratic fusion theory, and the CIT, citizen integration theory, to be, of course, implemented categorically and as soon as possible, because we have reached an economic, financial, commercial point of potential collapse, right? due to several levels of economic hardships which are affecting the vast majority of the population. And look at those, what beautiful clusters of flowers. So paradoxically, I do have some solutions to the current problems. It's quite paradoxically because myself, with all the struggles, the survived COVID between February 2020 and March 2020. So survived COVID, and my survived COVID. I was really sick. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. It's like death, pestilence, and disease, and I survived COVID, and that's since I survived COVID. Let's go a little bit of zigzag towards the sun. We're gonna take another route, still towards the sun, still towards the mountain. I'm gonna check a little bit of that sunset, and that's where we're gonna be heading in a different manner towards the same second home, my mountain, Mount Royal. But I guess we can take a little bit of a different route sometimes to get to the same destination and change a little bit of landscape. Although, with Aspies, we have what seems quite as a regimented routine, ritualized. More than regimented is more ritualized routine, not necessarily regimented from the perspective of a neurotypical, right? Because keep in mind that Asperger's, the condition that I have, is not a mental illness. It is just this neurological mental divergent condition which makes us Aspies see the world differently, because there's mutations of the brain, and do of course these mutations of the brain, of course, since these mutations make us different, and they're not mutations which are outwardly visible, right? They're not outwardly visible, so you cannot really see them at the level of the eye, right? So you can't even, they're not visible outwardly in the exterior outwardness. Beautiful garden outwardness, and that one also, especially the yellows. Beautiful gardens, but they're not. So these mutations are not visible in the exterior of the brain of an Aspie. They're internal at the micro level. Aspies like myself have these mutations at the micro nano level, very micro. Like, think about it, like 4 microchips at a microscopic level, like small transistors, because they're micro and nano level transistors, right? On the microchip there can be millions. So think about it in terms of the very microscopic level, right? At the microscopic level of the brain, there's these mutations which account for a variance. And of course, it's not exactly conclusive what causes Asperger's, also known as HFA, high functioning autism. It is a combination of hereditary, so genetic, and environmental. So it's a combination. So this combinations is something which we have to do, and we have to rock and roll like that, and that's how we have to get going. So that's just to explain a little bit what Asperger's is. And again, to just explain briefly in summum bonum that first what you need to know, and what if somebody says that it's an illness, it's a malady, you correct. It says no, it's not an illness, it's not a malady in the traditional sense. It's not an illness in the facultatory, whatever it's encompassed by the definition of disease, right? It's not that encompassed in the disease spectrum. Yes, we are less able in certain things. There is a certain abstractness, subtraction of our abilities, as opposed in certain social aspects, such as social communications and social understandings of social protocols and non-written rules and regulations and norms. Just keep in mind, Aspies were not a lot in the world. Aspies, it's less than 1% of the population who have Asperger's. That is less than 1%. Beautiful flowers, buds. It's not even half of a percent. It's 0.44%. Look at those. Nice. 0.44%. 0.44%. So you can fully understand what the minuteness, that a lot of people don't even know what Asperger's is or have not even heard about it. But it, of course, suffice it to say that we have, of course, the characterization of the still some people who deem it or call it an illness, which is not. It's not. So it's not an illness in that sense. But yes, in certain things, I can be very strange, and Aspies can be very strange because we have to be told more directly. We just don't get certain things. We just don't get certain things. We just don't get certain things, but we just have to be told more directly, right, and straightforward. And of course, such things as, of course, personal space, for example. We might breach personal space and approach a citizen so close that the citizen might feel uncomfortable, a sense of insecurity, a sense, of course, of rumination, a sense of alertness, a sense of very much being, feeling weird. So yes, because it's something that our brains are more difficult ending from the perspective of a neurotypical. I'm just going to leave the water go a little bit. So the neurotypicals, you, the vast majority of the neurotypicals, you are the vast 99.56%. So we always have to build bridges, small bridges, medium bridges. The size of the bridge can be small, medium, large, or extra large, right? Oh yeah, that feels good. So I have certain things which myself I have to work on, and I always been constantly working on, and I gotta give a shout out to my anonymous friend who wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any. And of course gotta get down that rock and roll, because that's what I'm good at. Rock and roll, that's what I'm good at. Other things I might be clumsy, some things I just don't get, believe me. I'm gonna ask people would I come to that rock and roll. I play it for sundown and sunset. Never rises, never been upset. Hey, gotta say, gotta get another yet. Gotta figure, look at the sun shining and I see the maple leaf. I spot the flag, but I always carry that can on the flag because it's tatted on me. So that's what I'm good, rock and roll, I'm good. Geopolitics, I'm good. Sports, fitness, dancing is my favorite sport. And that's what I'm good at, being an artist, an athlete who totally gorgeous flowers. Wow, look at that. So alive, so bright. So that is just Asperger's in a summum bonum, I'm sure there's me being part of an individual with Asperger's, of course, who is part of this tiny small minority. I'm also an individual sovereign citizen with added responsibilities now because I'm in the public. Rather than if I would have stayed home, I would have had less responsibility. Since I'm outside, I have more responsibility. So those added responsibility consequently apply to myself also. Even that I have Asperger's, yes, certain things I have to say, to others if we start in a conversation, just to let them know that I have this neurodivergence, which is known as Asperger's, aka high functioning autism, which can be strange. So Aspies of the world unite, and yeah, we can't. It's three main problems that Aspies face: lack of friends, and I don't have many friends, and I lost losing friends also. So we lose a lot of friends because it is. Sometimes it's weird for us to socialize, with certain things we just don't fully get, so to say, process, because our brains are mutated, and so we might be able to concord and have an intellectual academic language that's pertinent to our special interest, because most of our lives on a daily basis are engaged with levels sometimes of intensity, super focus, super dedication, and we're super in it when we're engaged in those special interests. But to the detriment of other things of daily life, to the detriment of other things of daily life. That's where the problems can lie with Aspies. And so from now on, myself, I tell you straight, 2025, July 21st, my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee, friends with benefits only. When I work, I'm all about Arbeit. Especially when it comes to my dream, the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom is friends with benefits only, or pledge your allegiance, thou art family, pledge your allegiance, thou art family. And that's all we got, and that's all we gotta get on that rock and roll with that. And that's all we have to be doing on the left and on the right. And that's good, and that's all we gotta get here on the one way. Turn your heads left or right. The dynamics of the appellation of the things which we got. And see, the other problem is just very problematic. It's very high depression and suicidal rates. Very high depression and suicidal rates. Depression, suicidal. I was depressed. I was suicidal. Look at this beautiful garden. Depression and suicidal rates are 9 times higher among Aspies. Keep in mind that Aspies were less than 1%, right? 0.44%, but the depression and suicidal tendencies and rates are 9 times higher. Right, 9 times. I was there, and what got me out of being depressed and suicidal was at a point in my life in 2017 when I crossed Canada coast to coast, coast to coast, and having crossed Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean, that event really made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. That made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. Who's gonna turn my head left and right there. You got a stop sign there, Mr. Fellow Citizen Driver. And of course, oh wow, I had to take a turn. I see it blurred, but now that I approach it, I wanted to see beautiful. Look at those. And these ones. Because I was seeing blurred from afar, so I wasn't sure. So I guess it was worth taking a big turn here, admiring those big flowers and these ones here on the side. So crossing Canada coast to coast in 2017 in August. I went 2017, I have the tickets by bus with my anonymous friend, 3.5 days by bus from Montreal to Vancouver. That was a hell of a ride. And then of course it took another 25 hours and 44 minutes. 25 hours and 44 minutes from Montreal to Halifax. 25 hours and 44 minutes. 5 hours and 44 minutes, and that's how we're gonna get drilling with that, and that's how we're gonna get drilling on the go. 25 hours and 44 minutes. That was something which was exquisite, and that was September and August. So August and September. August went in BC, British Columbia, all the way out west in Vancouver, and after that came back in September 2017. We went to Nova Scotia, Halifax, and of course Nova Scotia, Halifax is something that, of course, that the whole event in 2017 is going to be 8 years in August and September in the coming months, next month basically, and then in September in 2 months. And I have the tickets. I kept the tickets. I'm auctioning them for $1 million. And that event, just crossing Canada, made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, who I consider family. And I was 290 pounds, and after that event, I started working out, training, exercising. I lost between 80 and 93 pounds. And of course, I created my own workout training program system, and I written tens of thousands, if not about thousands, or maybe even thousands, and thousands, I would say. Maybe close to 10,000 total in totality. Mostly analysis, theory, and defensive strategy for what I call the North American Collective, and including the NATO complex. Because of course, if you're if you are into geopolitics, at least 1% as I am, you gotta know what NATO is. At least NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Otherwise, geopolitics is my kingdom, my realm, and it's my special interest, and I take great pride in my independent geopolitical, theoretical, analytical work, and especially, of course, in my strategies, the development of my strategies, of course, for the North American Collective, mostly for the defense, and that's what I got, a little bit on that defense side of things, and that's what we gotta get on that drill sometimes, it's quite something which we have to take into account again, that I predicted what's happening now. In 2019, I have proof of work So my scenario was a World War III scenario, aka international conflagration, which I predicted in 2019. 2019 in October, November, and like I said, I take great pride. Another problem for Aspies is, just to finalize, the friends aside, and depression and suicidal, which I live both, is a third one which I live the most problems. Aspies, the problem is, this is unacceptable, of course, unemployment rates. Unemployment for Aspies are 11 times higher. 11 times higher. 11 times, you know. Keep that in mind, 11 times higher. 11 times higher than neurotypicals. So it's 80%, not 80. And I think the unemployment level went up. Not 80. Not 80, not 9. It's 80%. 80%. 80%. 80. That's super high. 80%, so it's 11 times. So that's totally unacceptable. I mean, I had many jobs. Many jobs, but of course maintaining them is of course problematic for me. Maintaining them is problematic for me. Maintaining the jobs for Aspies is problematic. So I had made jobs like 2-3 weeks, 2-3 days, 4 weeks, 4 months, 3 months, etc. But it's 80%. That's totally unacceptable. You know, we cannot continue like this. So that's the main problem. But we excel at our special interest. But because in the workplace requires a certain level of desocialization and socialization's aspects. For Aspies, for example, you know, just to give you an example, if somebody would bring a tabloid, you know, gossip tabloids, celebrity gossip tabloids, Aspies, usually, I'm an individual with Asperger's, is something which we don't get. You know, we would discuss ideas, theories, courses of action on how to solve problems. If there's a problem with mathematically or with percentages or mathematically or otherwise, it could be, you know, sanitation, or it could be XYZ, other problems. If we can problem solving, all these we would block. Our minds just look at these. Hey, so nice. Wow. Good job. Thank you, public workers. I just love these. Oh, they're nice yellow here, and I love yellow flowers, but these are really nice. They kind of look exotic. So, of course, our minds just kind of block at gossip because our minds are different, right? So the brain being different is gossip. We say, why do we discuss that person's actions so much, or how can we help? Does that person seek help? We would ask questions in our minds, and then we would block. We would ask questions, and then because we don't process gossip, it blocks for us. We kind of see no use in it, you know, unless it's like for safety, for security reason. We might know for other things, but like that, for example, I never, at least since my memory, because I got that triggered amnesia, problems accessing memory prior to 2014, spring 2014, right? So of course, from that perspective, wow. Thank you, public workers. Wow, it's so nice. Gorgeous gardens in the public. So, thank you for the embellishment, because it took some brains and muscle, so I appreciate it. And some financing, but that's what money serves a purpose, right? So, we would block, because to be honest, I don't think I ever, but maybe before 2014, like I said, but at least in the past 11 years, I never bought a gossip magazine, celebrity gossip magazine. Sure, I'm financially stressed, but even like that, I wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't be something that I would buy. Look at that garden also there. So nice, and these are so nice there. These are super nice. The yellows, man. Wow, nice yellows. The gardens there, you know, those ones also. These ones are nice. Some more whitish like that, but they're nice. These are the same if you notice, but they're different colors. See, color-wise, they're not they're different. So this is different color and that, but they're very, I think, from the same Floralis, Familias, Felternis, Romanis, the same family, I guess. So that's basically the summum bonum of Asperger's. 3 main problems: unemployment, high depression, suicidal rates, and social isolation, lack of friends. But I don't require much support, I don't require much support myself. My only stress now, to be honest, in the past years, it's mostly economic, financial, commercial. I paid my rent though for July. It is already July 21st, so August. Hope it's gonna be again. Surviving on $800. Last year I survived on 11,000 Canadian. First thing I do is pay my rent. Second thing I do is pay my electricity bill. Third thing I do is pay my cell phone. So those 3 first. Yeah, those three first and foremost. But since my daily activities and routines are so preoccupied with intensity in working out, training, exercising, doing dance, creating dance choreography and creating rock and roll songs as an artist, also movie dialogue and movie ideas, but mostly rock and roll style, and of course doing geopolitical analysis. Even this morning I did a few hours, and this afternoon I was supposed to leave at 6, and I couldn't stop but doing a few more hours of geopolitics. And of course it is the whole saga of the Trump saga, which of course we have to recommend and be in the internal commentation about. That's what we do, and that's how we gotta get that rock and roll, for the left and right, and for those who get on that drill, and for those who get on those buses. Gotta salute those who pick up the garbage collectors, and that's what we do. And those garbage collectors, sanitation workers, I wouldn't mind any job, any work, because I had many jobs, but of course that's what we have to be doing like that, and that's what we're doing on that, so something which we have, to get on the go like that, and that's what we got, to get it doing on that, and that's how we gotta get it here. And of course my dream is to build the 444, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, North American People's Imperial Coliseum. And of course it is a Dragon versus Trump edition, It's a Dragon versus Trump edition. Have been him and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, and have been ever since 2018, when Donald Trump made the mistake to impose tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. And geopolitically, I'm gonna forget about Asperger's, just gonna give a final shout out to my anonymous friend, who wasn't my friend because the money, because I never had any, who gifted me this beautiful 2 books on Asperger's and mostly focused on autism. But of course another book which was rented like 4 times, and I read it a few times with that and rented to revise it. It's called Appreciating Asperger's Syndrome. So Appreciating Asperger's Syndrome is of course a book which I've read, and I've studied mostly the parts of the book which were pertinent to my situation. Of course, characteristics, but there was of course appellations in it, and that theory and practical guidelines for example, certain interactions. If an ASPE preaches certain social characteristics and social norms, to get it on those up before a judge or in a court of law, it can happen for ASPEs, and that's how we're gonna rock and roll it, And it happens because sometimes certain norms are breached and certain things we just don't get, and maybe they're holding hands. I hope so. I see blurred, but that always gives me hope. See people making out, kissing, holding hands, and it's not all about the money. Give some Wall Street charity, give some charity Wall Street. Thank you. Finance the public workers, a massage therapy session. They deserve it. Firefighters, they need it. They deserve it more than yours truly. Those who pick up the garbage, the collecting, and those who do a little bit of that. Beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful blue. So now I'm just gonna go into geopolitics because that's what I am also, an independent geopolitical theorist, clandestine and theorist, and artist and athlete and philosopher and rock and roller 24/7 for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, and those involved in the restaurants, in the grocery store clerks, the workers, you know, making that minimum wage, supposedly even less than 35 now. It's, you get more financial difficulty with $35, but that was always something which, I guess, depending on if you already have, of course, financial burdens a priori to reaching 35, more than $30 an hour, more than $30 an hour, but with everything going up, minimum wage went up a bit here in Quebec, but all the other prices in comparison, they went way up. So it's something which, with the rents going up and everything going up, it's a big struggle today. In the past years, you know, Canada, the economic, financial, commercial, and much of the well-being has been deteriorating, and not mine, of course. I've been to depression, been through being depressed, being suicidal, and still financially stressed, but I'm rich, and financial theory and rock and roll and geopolitics, and trillions of kisses got created from the forgotten goddess via which I'm laying the foundations for the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom to be laid. The foundations right here from Hakala, Montreal, the mountain HQ of the Imperium. It's a Dragon versus Trump edition since 2018, you know. Dragon Trump made and created the mistake, the current geopolitical tensions with Canada in the first administration, and nothing personal, Granddaddy Trump, I would have voted for Biden and Kamala, you know, but it's no way to invite Canada to become the 51st state, and it's 13 like the 13 originals, because we got 10 provinces, 3 territories. So since 2018 I've been challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match. In that red backpack, which I'm auctioning for $1 million, I got those red gloves here at the corner of my old neighborhood. I got those red R.E.D. red gloves, by which I am challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match. And of course, those were gifted by my anonymous friend, who wasn't my friend because of the money, and wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any, but I put them to good use. I worked out a lot in them and willing to continue days, weeks, and months ahead to me and Donald Trump fights and signs those perpetual imperial union, because of course inviting us to the perpetual union is an invitation, but not by bullying, not with tariffs, and not by coercion or by force, you know, not to invite us in such a manner, you know, to join the perpetual union. And suffice it to say, as I stated in all my videos, that I'm a Quebecer Canadian, a North American, because I was born in the United States 3 times, post 70-76, once as a woman, twice as a man. When I was born as a man, post 70-76, twice as a man, served in the same United States Armed Forces, 2 different wars, 156 years apart. And if you believe in reincarnations like myself, just read Through a Glass Darkly, George Patton has a, I'm just gonna stretch a bit. George Patton, one of my favorite generals, and he was my wife in a past life, long ago, 2,600 years ago. He was my wife in a previous incarnation, past lives, although he wrote one of my favorite poems of the 20th century in parallel to Aleister Crowley, my favorite ever poet, Fool, Prophet, Perdurabo. George Patton wrote Through a Glass Darkly, and Through a Glass Darkly is one of my favorite poems, where George Patton states his belief in reincarnations as I believe in reincarnation. So that's something which you gotta explore if you do believe in reincarnation. So I served in the United States Armed Forces twice, 156 years apart, the same U.S. Army, and once I was born a woman, and challenged Donald Trump since 2018, fight me in a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, and together, my brothers and sisters, Canadians, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. The king is absent. It's time for the republic. The king is absent. It's time for the republic. The king is absent. It's time for the republic. The king is absent. It's time for the Republic. As an absentee landlord, nothing personal king, and just it's time for the Republic and time for the Democratic Imperial Republic and for the mass rehabilitation of our infrastructure, of the criminal population, and of course to rebuild the infrastructure, the collective infrastructure. Right here is between my old neighborhood and my new neighborhood, nothing that I will to go back to. It's between my old neighborhood. Here kind of where it demarcates. I used to live down there, but not that close from here, but it was a small underground moldy place, and I moved supposedly 2015. I thought it was 2016, but I used to live over there, you know, so I moved and I started working out, training, exercising, and I was depressed, suicidal for a few years, but I used to live in a moldy place, small prison type of cell. And in 2018, Donald Trump made the mistake to impose tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, and I have been able to continue to challenge Donald Trump on a boxing match, to a boxing match ever since that mistake, when of course Donald Trump made the mistake to impose tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. So as we go now to my second home, the mountain, we're gonna do a lot of that meditation here, see how my brain now functions due to geopolitics being my special interest, and being that I'm an independent geopolitical analyst and tourist, my brain always switches to doing geopolitical analysis, concording this point event in my life with all the business of the truckers, all that are going, they're going north towards the sunset, although they can go east and west. And of course, they're coming from the south, maybe from the border. And of course, all those trucks, they might be carrying some bacon, some cheese, some bread, some lettuce, some of that good. They might be carrying some milk. They might be carrying some butter. They might be carrying elements for the youth. They might be carrying some clothes, and they might be carrying, of course, some appellations, which of course might be super beneficial for the whole North American collective, the youth, and all the youth and the elderly aside. And that's what they have to be doing. That's what they have to be doing on that, and that's what they gotta get on that rock and roll always. Always gotta be meditating on all the things which we have as a dynamic civilizational complex here, and it's always something which is us for us to, of course, hold and meditate, because that's how my brain functions. You know, I put everything now in the concordium of the highways, this point event being that they're highways, points of transportation, which from a geopolitical perspective, they're open for sabotage and espionage, such are, of course, the railways. So as this point event in my life now passing through my old neighborhood, and as a matter of fact, I'm gonna take, not that I'm gonna take a U-turn per se, but of course I can go different directions, but we can go to the mountain. I'm gonna go by this side. I decided that I won't go deep in my old neighborhood, and we're gonna go by this side there instead, because this is kind of where I'm in my own neighborhood now. It's kind of the line of demarcation. So of course, just of course appellate and consequently state again, of course, that this point event in my life now in 21st of July, the fact that I crossed this highway, and I know in my mind that this highway connects with all other highways all the way to Mexico. All the way to Mexico, right? Because it goes south, it goes all the way to Mexico, and of course it's concordiate to all other highways and whatever they're transporting now. They might be transporting so many goods. They might be transporting a vast array of goods across the collective, goods which we use on a daily basis, which are needed for the maintenance of the civilizational complex, for our maintenance, for our continuing survival, for the well-beings of the elderly and all the young and the youth and those newborns, because they might be carrying some, of course, they might be carrying some baby powder. I don't know how much XY amount, but at this point in time, among the 63, the 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, they're carrying in real time tons and tons and tons of the aforementioned goods, whether tomatoes, whether bacon, whether tomatoes, whether bacon, cheese, sausages, milk, powder milk, Milk powder, is that a dragon? Pledge your allegiance for the dragon army. It's time to create a dragon army. It's time. The Publik Private Partnership Dragon Army I've been calling for years and years and years to be integrated with all existing institutions and organizations, and of course to have integrated at all levels of the civilizational complex, and that's what we are. And mass finance, fitness, and Dragon versus Trump. I'm gonna make a statement, political statement now, geopolitical statement, which is always true in concordiate. So this geopolitical statement, neither Canadians, neither my brothers and sisters in the 50 states, who I love as family, we gotta unite for the empire. I gotta say that. This geopolitical statement, which I'm gonna say now, you cannot say no to it. You cannot say maybe. You can only say yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. For both Canadians and my brothers and sisters in the 50 states, our main foreign affairs interest, so when it relates to foreign affairs, not domestic internal affairs, but when it comes to our number one, both for Canada as a geopolitical, as a state polity, and the United States as a superpower. And our main interest is to have the best, most cordial economic, financial, commercial, financial interest with each other. Economic, financial, commercial, diplomatic, security-wise, defense-wise, at all levels with each other, reciprocally. That is just the political reality which was so for the past 50 plus years, ever since the British Empire started losing power, half post-World War II, with the dissolution of the British Empire and the partition of India and the other South Africa and other countries, although there's still the Commonwealth, but of course there's not like it was before the Second World War, when Britain, the British Empire, still dominated the world geopolitics in a major way, right before the arrival of Nazi Germany, that is. So that is just how it is categorically. You cannot say no to that statement. You can only say yes. You can't even say maybe, because it will be so even for the future, right? Not just today. It will be for the future. 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 So that is just the concordia to whatever the case may be. So it is whatever the case may be, and that's just how it is, so that's just how it is. Other things are illusory. Like Donald Trump said in the discussions with Putin, frustration, it has seemed to be meaningless. So this meaningless affair, by implementing my Trinity theories, the establishment of the democratic imperial republic, the empire, it will have meaning. It will give us more purpose, for joy as well. Just like meaning and purpose for justice, for my brothers and sisters who lose their liberty, freedom. Don't ask me when I got it tatted up. But of course in the concordium, which we have for the concordiate, and that's what we have for the concordiate, and of course the concordium of the things of the appellation, which of course they might be independent or correlative to our intellectual academic planes, or to the practical planes, or to the geopolitical realities, as I have stated and mentioned a priori, and to the fact that we are living in a high technological age. However, how many of us know how satellites are made, launched? I know a little bit. I'm a nobody, just a piece of dust. A little nobody. Piece of dust. I lust, I get moody sometimes. No longer depressed and suicidal. Still craving a massage therapy session, but still going joyous now to my second home, the mountain. Free, but with responsibilities, because I'm in the public. For another's individual sovereign liberty, an individual sovereign being, and all who come to join us, right? All who come to join us. All who come to join us. All who come to join us. You know? All who come to join us. So that collective, of course, appellation of which we are, is something which, of course, gotta get it on that left and on that right, and here we're gonna get on that supposition, and that's how we have to be on those things of which we are, on this freedom here which we have, you know. My freedom, somebody else. Freedom is new under the sun, Mr. Solomon, you know. Freedom has to be also insured, you know. Insured, because if you got economic, financial, commercial pressures, you know, and freedom is also, it's not that black and white, oh, there's some gray, eh? Freedom, maximizing freedom and individual, it's always a work in progress. Here in Quebec, we made the great linguistic compromise, you know. We made the great linguistic compromise here, you know. The great linguistic compromise. We continue to do so. You know, we continue to do so. Certain things we have are certain illusions. I guess Aspies, a lot of us Aspies, we're like aliens breaking people's illusions sometimes, you know. We break people's illusions. Maybe we don't even will by volition, but we have the tendency by how sometimes we are directed straightforward. Geopolitically, there's just our realities. It's just how it is. We have to have the best, most economic, cordial relations with each other, independent of other nation states, other organizations, right? This binational, longest undefended border, and this Aspie has a little bit of that fetish, you know, fetish for cranes, you know, and fetish for cranes. It's something which we have to appellate and something which we have to dictamize. And I love those cranes up in the sky. They be doing on those cranes a little bit of that level, and that's just how we are, you know. And the love affair with the crane operators. See, I don't know how the crane operators stay safe, get back home safe, you know. That's that love with that, and we gotta love and on that rock and roll, and that's what they got, you know. So they gotta get it on those goals, you know. So something which, of course, is something which something for us to admire, because they're part of building construction, the building of the whole skyscrapers, and they date back to ancient Egypt when the time of the pyramids were built. So that fact and that statement, geopolitical statement of aforementioned, is that we have to have the best, most cordial economic, financial, commercial, diplomatic affairs with each other. And that's what it is. 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 And that's what it is with that, you know. So that's what we have to live with, you know. That's just the reality. Now, if a 35% interest tariff hits August, and again I say it's a mistake. It's a mistake. Geopolitically, Granddaddy Trump is a mistake. That's not the way to invite us. You love Canada, you see it as a 51st state, but we also have to face the realities that most 75%, or between 75% and 90% of our exports go to the United States and Canada. Go to the United States. Now, I might have Canada tatted up, but all my work for years and years and years and years, you can check proof of work. It's always binational. My theories, such as the total mobile defense theory, which I cannot overly discuss much, as if you can see past from my videos, I do not discuss it over much. But of course, because it's national security sensitive. It's national security sensitive, so this national security sensitive is of course a matter of national security, and that's what we have, that's what we got. So the national security sensitiveness to it, national security sensitive, so I cannot discuss too much about it. So it's only with David McGuinty and Big Headsec and of course Tulsi Gabbard and all high-ranking members of the security apparatuses and institutions of Canada. That's what it is with that, and that's what it is for the go. So that's what we have to be doing. You know, and that's what we gotta be appellating about, and that's what we gotta go concordium about. So this statement, geopolitical statement, has to be, of course, a factual appellation, of course, to be concorded with. So that's just what it is in theory and practice. And from the theory, we move into practice, right? Because from the theory, it moves into practice. You know? From theory, it moves into practice. From the theory, you gotta put it into practice. So that's why the 4-letter acronyms has an S, a system. TM, Total Mobile Defense Theory. TM, Total Mobile Defense Theory. The TMDT, Total Mobile Defense Theory. The TMDT, 4-letter acronym. T, Total, M, Mobile, D, Defense, T Theory. TMDT, when we add an S, that means that it becomes a system. And of course the system, that means that we put it into practice. That means that we put it into practice. That means that we put it into practice. That means that we put into practice the system. So of course I cannot discuss it overly much because of course it has those natural sensitivities. And due of course to those natural sensitivities, of course it is the appellation which we have to be prudent about. Because my theory is binational security sensitive. So I cannot discuss it over much. Total Mobile Defense Theory to be conjointly put with Operation Northern Scorpion, with Operation Northern Scorpio. So that is just, of course, something which we have to operate and keep in mind, of course, in the protrudent of things that we are, who we are today. You know, that we are who we are today. You know, and sometimes freedom has to be ensured. Not many of us are worthy, worthy, worthy to fight in this cause of freedom, right? I'm still a work in progress, you know. It's freedom is, like I said, it's got to be ensured and defined, and it's new under the sun, you know. It's new under the sun, you know. To have, that's why my Dragonomics, the motto is, nobody is born a dragon, not even myself. Nobody is born a dragon, not even myself. Nobody is born a dragon, not even myself, you know. Categorically to say on the appellation of things where we have those illusions sometimes, you know, because those illusions can manifest themselves in the geopolitical world. My brothers and sisters, fellow Canadians, my brothers and sisters in the US, our main geopolitical interest, when it comes to foreign domestic affairs, is to have the best economic, financial, commercial, defense, social, security-wise, of course, interests with each other. Canada and United States reciprocally. Then, external, secondary to NATO member countries, because we're part of the NATO military alliance. But first and foremost, it's NORAD binational. NORAD, if you want to say, as a military strategic alliance for defense, of course, which we're going to take further via my trinity of theories, but that's just the consequential aspect of the geopolitical reality. There's no to this statement. It's a constant, you know, like a pi, the pi symbol in mathematics, which represents, of course, the circumference and the diameter. 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 Relation to the circle. The relation to the circle is just thus. The relation to the circle is just thus. The circumference and the diameter is the pi symbol. It's like N. The N letter, N for Normandy, N for normal, N for Notre Dame, or N for natural. N, the letter N. So it has like two-headed N. That's why our coming empire will be kind of like two-headed, you know, two heads, two faces. Because that's like the N symbol has like two heads, and it represents the number 3.14, 3.1416, you know, 3.1416. and move in certain ways, you know. So that's the number of the 3.1416. It's a correlative number, which is of course part of the function for the circle and the diameter as relates to a circle, as relates to a circle, you know, the relation with a circle. That's just how it is. It never changes. It's a constant, not a mathematical variable. Mathematically, it's a constant. Thus, my statement, it's always has been so since the end of the Second World, is now and will be so, at least in the coming years and decades in the 21st century. Our main, of course, economic, financial, political concordiate is to have the best, most cordial economic, democratic, military, defense relations with each other. There's just no. There's no maybe. It's yes. That's just how it is. Just how it is. Just how it is. Just how it is. In concordiate. So that is just the situational awareness, the premise, and the reality. So that's why our coming empire, the fusion of the 50, the 10, and the 3 for the 63, the Democratic Imperial Republic. Let's sign in the coming days, weeks, months, and deadline. Let's do it on September 11th. Let's do it on September 11th. Let's do it September 11th. Let's do it on the mountain September 11th. The new Constitution. Democratic Imperial Republican Constitution to merge the 10, the 50, and the 3 for the 63 perpetual union for the 21st century for total security, service, and defense, and insurance of freedom, ensuring freedom with some joy and some mass PPPs, public-private partnership, and the creation of the 2 complementary covenant and cooperative institutions. Beautiful yellow flowers. Constitution in the 21st century. For the 21st century, the 21st century Dragon Army, aka Imperial Republican SSD Legion, or Imperial Republican United Army. Many appellations to be integrated with all existing police services, and partially based on my philosophies and the new 911 Dragon Army, new 911 protocol for total security, total service, total defense, in concordiate and with concordiate, of course, to the Dancing Goddess Army, the Imperial Integrated Dance League, to dance for the environment, environmental dancing in action, and that's how we do, and that's what we gotta get doing, and that environmental dancing in action, that is something which we have to be doing, and is something which we have to be appellation today, as I am marching towards my second home, Mount Royal, in these shoes, military grade, which I'm auctioning for $1 million to give half to my anonymous friend. I'm financially stressed, but I'm super joyous now, and it's a paradox that I present on the table, the theories which are going to, of course, salvage, because we are at a point of no return economic, financially, if those 35% tariffs are going to hit Canada. August 1st, that's the new deadline, because the trade war continues, and you know, there has been a 90-day pause, but come August, Trump might decide to hit some jabs, might go on the deep offense, you know, like if he's using the time clock management, just like that Super Bowl 47 or Super Bowl, of course, the Super Bowl where the lowest scoring Super Bowl was 13-3 when the Patriots won for the last time, when Brady played for the Patriots last time, and the lowest ever score was 13-3. And of course, that is something which we gotta do for that, and that's something which we have to be appellating about on the circumstantial vision of where we are now, and that's how we have to be doing on that, and that's how we're gonna get doing on the love side of things. So of course, the SSD, the security, service, and defense, that's how we have to be doing on that, and that's how we have to be appellating, and that's how we have to be doing for the left, for the right, and for the Z, and we gotta get it on the go now as we go, and you're gonna get XYZ in the middle of the circumference. You got the diameter and the radius, and of course the circle is something which we have to be indirect about, and of course we have to be direct about the circumstantial elements which we are now faced today that we have, of course, something which, of course, is our main interest, to have the best, most relations with each other in a parallel as we are beings, individual beings and sovereign beings, as we are now, to the concordiate of something that, of course, surpasses our micro levels of an individual sovereign to the macro level. I don't want to go into too much academic, scholarly, cratocratic academic work, but it's just the geopolitical realities. Concordiate. It's just how it is. If the tariffs are going to hit 35%, 35% is more than a third. There are already tariffs. The trade war is already ongoing with Canada. There's some illusions which we have to shed. You know, as much as you got the MAGA and the Trump and the internal discords and cultural wars in the United States, and the phenomenon of Donald Trump's brand of aggressive economic nationalism, as was deemed by Auntie Freeland in the letter before she departed. But nonetheless, we have to, of course, find the solutions. 99, the vast majority of the population of both Canada and the United States are in debt. Credit cards are increasing, maxed out. Of course, the growing prices of rents, growing prices of food, and of course, added on top, the record-breaking debt, and of course, the consequential stagnation of the salaries make it for a perfect economic fallout. It might happen that tomorrow, as I go to see a $5 movie on a special Tuesday with my anonymous friend for the third time in a row, that the economy falls. That the economy falls. Crash, economic crash. Because we also have, for the public, more interest than we paid before. More interest than we paid before for the public, than we paid before for the public. In the public sphere, more interest which we paid than ever because of the programs which had to be implemented due to COVID. That's something which adds a little bit of extra stress. Extra stress, economic, financial stress, is added as a plurality of all the stresses which are already now stressful on the system as a whole. My brothers and sisters, you can argue all you want, but the DRT is on the table, so that's what I'm going to discuss now. We have to implement the DRT, the debt refusion theory. There's just no way out of the current economic, financial, commercial situation. But the DRT, the debt refusion theory, is just the solution. It's a paradox that I'm putting on the table along with the trillions of kisses. The DRT, the debt refusion theory. You can argue all you want, but there's no other solution, you know. There's no other solution. That's what it is with that. There's just no other solution but what it is. So that's just the circumstantial prudence of where we are now and where we live. It's just the times. It's a paradox, but economically, financially, commercially, the majority of the population are financially stressed. Growing homelessness, growing food bank use. Even I'm happy I got a little bit of the fridge food bank use, you know, because it's something which we have to get a harvest, you know. It's the farmers, the butchers, the food producers, from the small, medium, large, super large, extra large, the very corporate. We have to, of course, get that in our thick skull sometimes. The DRT, debt refusion theory, on the table. It's the solution, the only solution. Well, okay, maybe not the only solution, but something very similar has to be implemented. Has to be implemented. Something very similar has to be implemented as the solution. As the solution has to be implemented as the solution, right? As the solution. The DRT, debt refusion theory. You can argue all you want, but because of the four main problems of which are, what are the four main problems? I'm going to describe them now fully. So the four main problems are facing us: economic, financial, commercial problems now in July 21st to 21st of July to 25th of July. 25th of July. So there's more main ones. The problems which are mainly affecting us now. The growing cost of everything. In whatever order, again. Four, but in whatever order you want to put them. Because for some individuals or the others are of more importance. The growing cost of everything every day and every week. I see prices going up. I don't go shopping every day, but when I do, I see prices of everything going up. Prices of everything. Even my wafers went up again by 50 cents. The other wafers went up again. The chocolate bar I used to buy for 50 cents went up to 63 cents. 3 items just that I purchased. Very cheap, very affordable, very on a budget. Very not expensive items. Sweets specifically have been going up. Just 4 items that I mentioned, you know, in the past 3 weeks, right? Price of rents. My rent went up, but I'm only gonna say it went up by I'm not gonna complain on my rent going up because I think it's, in my case, it's fair. In my case, I don't object. I'm gonna also make a statement that it's less than $10. 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 Right? Less than $10. So it could be $9.90, or it could be $9, it could be $8, it could be $7, whatever. Less than $10. Less than $10 for me. The other one, which is the stagnation of the salaries. The salaries have stagnated. The salaries are not going up by a big percentage. Only a little percentage. A little bit here, a little bit there. 1%, 2, 3, 4.4% in the past 5 years is the average, I believe. That's low in 5 years, eh? While the majority of the prices in the past 5 years are more than 44%. So it's close to 11 times the prices of the increase in prices. It's like 11 times higher than the proportional. This is mathematical percentile proportionalities in mathematics. Not that advanced, but I guess somewhat for some, less for some than others. But it's about 11% higher, right? So that's just where the math is involved in the mathematical concordiate of the things of the plurality of which we are involved for the consequential operations of where we are now. Where we are now. The third one, of course, stagnation of the salaries, growing cost of living, rents. The rents are going up. Stagnation of the prices, growing cost of living, and the fourth one, debt growing. Even now, somebody's swiping that credit card across the 63 from Montreal to San Francisco. Even now, somebody's swiping that card. Somebody's swiping that card somewhere in the world. Somebody else, you know. Somebody else is swiping the credit card now. Somebody else now, you know. Somebody else now. Somebody else now, you know. Somebody else now. Somebody else now is swiping that credit card, you know. Somebody else now is swiping that credit card. Somebody now swiping from Montreal to San Francisco. That credit card is being swiped. In the world. I'm referencing in Quebec, Canada, United States, binational, because the four problems are, there's a lot of places, other places in the world, but mainly binational for both Canada and the United States. For both Canada and the United States. For both Canada and the United States are the majority of those problems, the binational problems. of which they are, on the appellation of the things of which we are, to integrate our complexities and to implement my DRT, the debt refusion theory, in a manner, of course, which we have circumstantially about, and which you, of course, have to be dictating all the propositions which are for the coming of the empire. But of course, that's all we have to do. We have to implement the DRT binationally, the debt refusion theory binationally. That's all we have to do. The debt refusion theory binationally. And that appellation, of course, makes us situationally that we are compromittally on the point of a financial collapse. That's just how it is, you know. That's just how it is. So this coming, it's possible that it starts tomorrow. It's possible. It's possible. That's why my DRT best. And again, God is Jody assess it. Because I survived COVID, survived being depressed, survived being attacked by surprise, survived that moldy underground prison type of cell where I used to live in CDN, Montreal, still on the island of Hawk, coordination. Now we got that DRT, that refusion theory. The DRT, that refusion theory, which of course we have to appellate on the we have to do integrate as soon as possible. We have to integrate as soon as possible. We have to integrate as soon as possible. We have to implement, that is, and integrate binationally for both Canada and the United States. ASAP. It's an emergency, really. And we have no other choice, really, but to implement my theory. So I'm going to explain it now as simple as I can without too much academic, scholarly, bureaucratic verbosities as I go to my second home. We're going to be in and out it, going in to the top and back, because I want to be back home by midnight, so I don't want to clock in more than 4 hours, because I already clocked in 2, so that'll be 6 for the day. And tomorrow's another day, you know. So clock it in, clock it out, and spit it in, spit it out. DRT, debt refusion theory, is the solution, or something similar. In my DRT is integrated monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was integrated in the European Union in the 90s. Monetary integration theory is basically the creation of a supranational banking institution, a supranational central bank, which they did in Europe, the ECB. And keep in mind the Germans, the Italians, the French, other countries, the Belgium, many other countries than those 4 aforementioned, they destroyed their national central banks. They no longer have national central banks, and they created a common central bank, of course. A common central bank, and of course that common central bank is of course known as the ECB. So this they done in the 90s. So we're gonna do the same, because my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory in it, integrates monetary integration theory in it. So inside is integrated monetary integration theory, monetary integration theory, monetary integration theory, monetary integration theory is integrated. So we're gonna of course take all the public and the private debt. So keep in mind that my DRT theory integrates, in my DRT theory is integrated monetary integration theory. So inside the monetary integration theory is the MIT monetary integration theory, is the financial theory which the Europeans implemented in the 90s. Implemented in the 90s. You know, implemented and integrated in the 90s. Monetary integration theory. So keep that in mind. So monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was integrated in the European Union. So inside my DRT, signed my DRT, Debt Fusion Theory is integrated. Monetary integration theory, monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was integrated in the European Union. So it's important for you to keep that in mind when I discuss it. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, my $10,000 coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and keep in mind we're going to have to implement it binationally, because binationally the four economic problems are the reality for today's environment. Just going to press the button with this. So binationally we face, of course, the same economic problems, of course, in the concordium of which we face the same economic problems in the concordiate for the binational collective, the North American Civilizational Collective, of course, Canada, United States, and of course the economic situation is very similar. So that's why my DRT theory has to be implemented binationally. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, my $10,000, your $10,000, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, Canada, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Hey, thank you, public workers. This is really gorgeous. Good job here. I really find this amazing plateau of flowers here, multiplicity of flowers, and very beautiful to the eyes. And you know, you got the public gardens right here, which please don't throw trash there. And that's how we have, and that's how we do, and that's how we gotta get that rock and roll. So of course, we're gonna take the DRT explain now. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, my $10,000, your $10,000. We're gonna add it up, convert it into US dollars. So we're gonna convert all the public private debt into US dollars. So my $10,000, your $10,000, we gotta add it up, convert it into US dollars, and add it with the US debt. That money is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. For a new central bank, right? So all the public and the private debt is gonna be the money supply for a new central bank. All the money supply for a new central bank. All the public private debt, right? All the public private debt is gonna be, of course, a new money for a new central bank. So all that money is gonna be added all up, and we're gonna add it all up with the United States dollars, and that money is gonna finance the creation of the Imperial Republican Central Bank for our coming empire, which we're gonna issue a new currency called the UE, based on the value of the US dollar. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, the UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit, the UE is gonna have the value of the US dollar. Time to let that main out. Anybody wanna finance that I go up and down these stairs 300 times for $300? 300 times for $300, 300 times. $300, 300 times for 300. Anybody wants to finance that I come up and down, that I come up and down these stairs 300 times, $300 for the empire. UEs. So let's create the UE. The universal exchange unit is gonna have the value of the US dollar. So that's what we're gonna create. So all the debt, public and private debt, we're gonna create it. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. Into US dollars, we're gonna create it into US dollars, you know. We're gonna create it into US dollars. Actually convert it into US dollars, right? All the public-private debt. And again, there's no way out of the situation where we find ourselves now. So economically, there's no way. Economically, there's no way. There's no way, of course, economically, than where we are on the go now. So, of course, the situational awareness is that we are at the point of no return into the categorical spheres of which we are today to appellate and make the decision to implement the DRT, of course, with several layers of course, details, but generally, and of course in a more succinct manner, I'd explain it. And again, I'm going to explain it again for both Canada and the United States. the four more pressing problems: the growing cost of living, one, the rents going up, cost of everyday goods, stagnation of the salaries. The fourth, even now, somebody swiping that credit card, swish, 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 from Montreal, in New York, across the 63, the 10 provinces, 50 states. Keep in mind that we got time zones. Although it's the sunset now here, we got that 3-hour difference on the west coast. So Vancouver, they still got lots of sun. San Francisco also. So they're clocking in some of those seconds dates and clocking in some of that credit cards, which goes to those servers and connects with whatever banking institutions, all the system, from the micro citizen level who's going in debt, whose salary stagnates and who suffers because all the prices are going up, and it seems to be no stop. Every day and every week, that's the problem. Every day and every week, the costs are going up. Even the fast food is going up. Prices of most of the restaurants that I checked have been going up to order out, right? So it's a cost of living, man. Crisis, severe crisis. Even last year, the RCMP when Trudeau was in power, warning the Canadian government that Canadians are preparing for unrest and riots, something like riots, unrest, when found out how broke and angry Canadians. I dealt with anger. Like me, it's Asperger's has been tough, because for years and years and years I've been diagnosed and didn't want to accept it and didn't want to accept my aspiness. But still that stigma on it, Less today than it was in the 20th century, but more and more work and demystification of what it is has been done. And that's what it is with that, and that's what we have to get doing with the rock and roll. And so we gotta get on the left and on the right, and in the left and on the circumcision, which we are, to get it on the left, and all those which we have to be going into the dark now. Going into the dark. So those are the things which we gotta be mindful about, and in the situational awareness, be careful if you come here, because it's dark, and you don't want to be very careful as you move, there's rocks and there's dents, and just be careful as you step, best if you don't come in the dark as this, because you're in the darkness now. As you can see, I stepped into the darkness. We step into the darkness, and this forest on the mountain, my mistress, sometimes the branches fall. We gotta, of course, watching our step and submission, like a BDSM type of switch, submissive manner with lots of respect and gratitude for. Yes, here in the darkness we lose a lot of our illusions. So the DRT has to be implemented. How's that helicopter chopper? Give me 300. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean, blah 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 blah. Butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians. The DRT, with the implementation of the DRT and the creation of the UE, we're gonna be able to rebuild the North American civilizational complex. We're gonna be able to rebuild our highways, mass finance citizens fitness, mass finance citizens rehabilitation, mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise, mass finance, collective well-being, mass finance my brothers and sisters too, and work out, to train, to exercise, and mass finance my fellow citizens, other human beings, the general wellness initiatives. I'm going downhill a bit, but still got a little bit of that eye vision. It's on the forest, on the mountain, my mistress, my second home, the doctor, Mount Royal. I see a little bit of those lights, of those fireflies. Summer, 21st of July, DRT, Death Fusion Theory. We're going to do lots of good by the creation of the UE, of this new Imperial Republican Central Bank, the Central Bank Imperial Republican Central Citizen Bank. We're going to mass finance citizens' fitness. We're going to mass finance people to work out, train, exercise. We're going to mass finance the rehabilitation of the North American criminal population, and we're going to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, aka Imperial SSD Legion, or the Imperial Republican Defense Army, aka the SSD, only for security, service, and defense. SSD Legion, Security, Service, and Defense Legion. The SSD Legions of the 10, the 50, and the 3, which we're going to fuse. We're going to get rid of the border. We're going to make a great census for both Canada and United States. We're going to issue a new passport, and of course we're going to, create the Dancing Goddess Army, aka the Dancing Goddess Army, known as the Imperial Dance League, to do environmental education and to take action, because sometimes it even requires, when you check in the bins, in the garbage bins or the recycling bins, there are things which are not supposed to be in the garbage or in the recycling, vice versa. So we got work to do in the small cities, big cities, mega cities, metropolis such as mine, Metropolis, Hawk Island, Montreal. That's how we do, and that's how we're gonna get that rock and roll with it, and that's how you're gonna get that appellation. So it's something which we have to be doing on the go, and on the zest, and on the left, and on the right, and in the middle as the pro-labor love, universal revolutionary centrism, of which we are here in the darkness on the mountain, which calls us the headquarters of the empire here, which we're going to be for the Democratic Republic. And of course we're going to create this common central bank, and we're going to build those 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, paradoxically inspired by the Hamas tunnels, which supposedly under Gaza there's hundreds of miles and kilometers of tunnels built since Hamas took power in 2007, and also inspired by the Montreal Underground Village, and of course the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, which is the headquarters of the NORAD military alliance, the binational military alliance known as NORAD, which is Canada, United States based here in the mountain, on the mountain now, Mount Royal. You can see part of those lights there, part of the city. Tiny lights, part of the city, which are visible to the thick forest. My mistress on the mountain, with the mountain my doctor, and now I'm going uphill. I'm gonna be going downhill now. I am where, I don't know if you know, but if you check some of my videos, you're gonna probably situate this. Sometimes we're here, of course, during the day, during the daylight, when it's daylight. Mostly we're passing here when it's, of course, daylight. Most we pass here when it's, of course, daylight. When it's, of course, daylight, you know. When it's, of course, daylight. So here we are on the mountain. That's why we are here, you know. It's on the mountain, on the mistress, and that's all we have to be doing, you know. Uniting Canada, United States, my way best, via the DRT, Death Fusion Theory. Like I see, what do we see in the sky? Some of that helicopter chopper. We gotta build new helicopters, choppers. Build 3 massive trucks for the Dragon Army, for the Dancing Goddess Army. We gotta do that census. Give some amnesty. Give some amnesty to those who are illegal aliens and undocumented migrants, undocumented workers, whatever terminology we use. For some who have lived since 2017, in the past 7 years, we could do some imperial amnesty and citizenship and protection, pro-citizenship, as We're gonna give all to have who have Canadian citizenship and U.S. citizenship, automatic Imperial citizenship, pledge your allegiance, and our family. Adrian Hannah Dragon, French to that Switch. Et bienvenue, on est sur la montagne québécoise. Non, je suis dans la forêt, dans la noirceur. Je vois un hélicoptère qui vient de passer. Je vous encourage à faire de l'entraînement physique. Je suis à la montagne, le Mont-Royal, ma maîtresse, le Mont-Royal où que j'adore venir puis faire de l'entraînement physique. Votre monsieur, madame, le dragon arc-en-ciel, artiste, athlète, philosophe, avec l'Asperger, la condition de neurodivergence avec laquelle je vis moi-même. C'est une condition, bien sûr, qui n'est pas une maladie, c'est une condition de neurodivergence. Ça fait que nous, les Aspergers, les Aspi, on fait partie d'une petite communauté de neurodivergents, moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage. Il n'y a pas bien des Aspergers dans le monde. Ma communauté constitue à peu près 0,44, fait que même pas la moitié d'un pourcentage. Fait il y en a bien des citoyens et concitoyennes qui savent même pas c'est quoi. Fait que des fois, je leur explique pour pas qu'ils s'inquiètent de certaines choses, parce que c'est juste que je suis différent. Puis les lumières que vous voyez, les petites lumières, les étincelles, c'est la métropole de Montréal. Hey, les mains dans les airs pour les travailleurs de l'Hydro-Québec, les camionneurs, les boulangers, les travailleurs publics qui changent les aqueducs, les mains dans les airs. Si vous ne me parlez pas d'amour, je veux rien savoir que je sois évangile France. Vous savez pas les mathématiques, il faut que vous le preniez encore au secondaire. Je pense bien que l'amour, c'est clair. Je dois rien à personne, merci, je suis libre. Monsieur nomme la prêtresse Anne, dites pas mon nom s'il fait pour le pas le bénir. Parce que sinon, l'eau potable, c'est comme la pestilence. Je vous aime avec le rock'n'roll. Et le rock'n'roll, c'est quelque chose que j'adore faire. Et bien sûr, je vois les lumières sur la montagne. J'adore venir ici. Puis vous savez que c'est comme ma deuxième maison ici. Pas juste la mienne, mais il faut faire attention, des fois dans les ténèbres, on peut quand même voir dans les ténèbres un peu. Il y a moins d'illusions, je trouve, des fois, tu sais. Je viens ici, mais il faut être prudent. Je connais le chemin, mais quand même avec prudence, tu sais. Je marche quand même à pas un peu vite, là, peut-être un peu trop rapide, là, qu'est-ce qu'il fait nuit, mais quand même, je suis capable de me diriger à cause de la lumière du téléphone intelligent, là, mais quand même, les petites lumières que vous voyez, c'est les lumières de la métropole. Là. C'est, on connaît là, où je suis moi-même. Là. C'est en haut, bien sûr, de la montagne, où il y a la forêt. Tu sais. C'est la forêt de la montagne. Fait qu'il faut que je fasse attention. Des fois, si j'entends craquer, parce que les arbres, bien sûr, c'est des arbres qui sont pas 100% en santé. Fait qu'il faut quand même que moi-même je fasse. Puis ça, c'est où que vous voyez les petites lumières, c'est des concitoyens qui sont ça sur la bicyclette, puis ils font du jogging, qui sont en bas sur le chemin principal. Parce que bien sûr, on est dans la noirceur, on est dans la forêt. Fait qu'est-ce que vous voyez, les petites lumières en bas, là? Ça, c'est en bas. Fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr, que moi-même, je suis pour le faire dans le point que je vois dans les ténèbres, là. La maîtresse, la forêt sur la montagne. Québécois, je vous invite à l'entraînement physique. Je vous plaquette un peu c'est quoi l'Asperger, qu'est-ce qui n'est pas. C'est une condition de neurodivergence. Nous, les Aspi, on a des mutations au niveau du cerveau microscopique. Là. C'est pas visible sur le cerveau en tant que tel, on est à l'extérieur, mais c'est à l'interne, à l'intérieur. Tu sais. Fait que c'est ça, bien sûr, qui se passe chez nous, avec moi-même, bien sûr, dans cette vie. Je suis neurodivergent, fait que dans certaines choses, j'ai de la misère. Nous, les Asperger, dans certaines choses, on a de la misère à cause de comment qu'on est, comment que notre cerveau y est fait. On constitue une petite minorité de ce qu'on est, puis on ne peut pas le changer parce qu'il n'y a pas de médicaments. Qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire? C'est toujours travailler, bien sûr, sur les caractéristiques. Fait que, bien sûr, en travaillant sur les caractéristiques, je suis moi-même quelqu'un qui doit toujours constamment faire du travail sur les caractéristiques que je possède en tant qu'aspi qui sont telles que la répétition. On répète 2-3 fois la même chose. L'école est là, si on répète exactement phrase par phrase, comment on dit en latin, verbatim par verbatim, qu'est-ce que quelqu'un va dire. Fait que c'est des choses aussi qu'on doit y travailler constamment à bâtir des ponts, petits ponts moyens, des ponts moyens, des ponts plus petits, des super larges, des ponts super larges ou des ponts extra larges, d'une manière extra large, bien sûr que ça serait d'une manière extra large, bien sûr, d'avoir de la manière, bien sûr, qu'on doit vivre dans ce point de contingence puis de compromis qu'on est rendu, bien sûr, pour l'être aujourd'hui sur la circonférence de qu'on est rendu pour faire dans ce point de avoir, bien sûr, un peu de gratitude parce que j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai vécu bien sûr des parties difficiles dans ma vie, mais bien sûr, je pense, pareil pour le faire, bien sûr, avoir vécu dans ce point de contingence, avoir vécu bien sûr ce point que j'en ai rendu merci aujourd'hui avec de la gratitude, car j'ai payé mon loyer, you know, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, c'est quelque chose bien sûr qu'on fasse dans la même contingence, d'avoir bien sûr pour ça fasse des valeurs, puis bien sûr pour avoir certains point de repère, qu'est-ce que c'est encore une fois cette neurodivergence, puis qu'est-ce que c'est pas, bien sûr, c'est conscient, bien sûr, de neurodivergence, où que nous, on voit le monde différemment, fait que dans certaines choses, on a la misère, tu sais, des points du social, bien sûr, dans le point de vue social, bien sûr, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on se fasse, la même chose, d'avoir un point de repère vis-à-vis vous, les 99,56%, que vous voyez le monde d'une manière, puis nous d'une autre manière. Fait que des fois, il y a quand même des malentendus. Puis les trois problèmes, bien sûr, qu'on a moi-même, bien sûr, les trois problèmes, bien sûr, qui se trouvent le plus chez ma communauté, c'est le manque d'amis. Pas besoin d'amis, juste des amis avec bénéfice, bien sûr. Juste des amis avec bénéfice. Juste des amis avec bénéfice. Pour que ça soit, bien sûr, ce point de où que je suis rendu dans la vie, c'est vraiment, bien sûr, j'ai pas besoin d'amis, justement, parce que je veux pas perdre le temps à personne. Juste des amis avec bénéfice. Des amis avec bénéfice. Seulement, prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille, bien sûr. Prêtez allégeance les gens, bien sûr. Vous êtes famille, bien sûr. Fait que dans ce point de convergence, où que vous êtes famille, bien sûr, c'est un point de avoir des amis avec bénéfice ou prêter allégeance les gens vis-à-vis mon travail qui est le plus important pour moi-même, qui se manifeste comme le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse vis-à-vis tout le travail que j'ai fait dans les années passées, puis bien sûr vis-à-vis de la théorie puis l'analyse de la géopolitique, car la géopolitique c'est mon intérêt spécial. Nous les Aspergers, on a des intérêts spéciaux. Ces intérêts, ça préoccupe avec intensité, super concentration, tout le quotidien. Notre quotidien, notre routine rituelle, un peu comme des routines rituelles. On peut être très intense, très concentré, super dedans, super engagé quand on travaille, quand on étudie, puis quand on s'engage dans qu'est-ce qu'on appelle les intérêts spéciaux. Malheureusement, dans d'autres choses, on peut être pas si bon, tu sais, dans le social, puis savoir les normes, la communication non verbale, les choses non sociales, telles que, comme l'espace personnel, c'est de 2-3 pieds, là. C'est garder l'espace personnel, c'est quelque chose que je dois travailler constamment parce que nous, les aspions, on s'approche tellement proche d'une personne, des fois tellement proche de 2-3 pouces. 2-3 pouces. Tu sais, les 2-3 pouces, là. Fait que c'est toujours quelque chose qui est quand même difficile pour nous-mêmes, tu sais. C'est quelque chose qui est difficile pour nous-mêmes. C'est quelque chose qu'on doit faire, tu sais, d'ici. Je vais juste m'hydrater un peu. Je vais attendre un peu parce que ça coule le plomb, bien sûr. Ça coule le plomb, bien sûr, pour avoir de l'eau potable. Sinon, j'aurais bu de la rivière. Fait que je dois quand même avoir un peu de contingence ici vis-à-vis des choses qu'on fait, bien sûr, dans ce point-là. Avoir vécu sur la forêt, mais dans d'autres vies, j'étais né. Je suis mystique aussi, fait que je crois à des réincarnations. Hein. Dans d'autres vies, j'étais né homme. Dans d'autres vies, j'étais né femme. Fait que maintenant, vous avez 50-50, la moitié. Fait que je vous en fais pour en faire, bien sûr, dans le point convergence que je le fais, bien sûr, de la contingence que je suis moi-même ici. que je fais, bien sûr, dans l'affaire d'avoir vécu ici, bien sûr, dans d'autres vies, je m'hydrate, puis je vous discute de l'asparagus, puis je vous discute de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour avoir un point de repère, puis pour avoir une solution, bien sûr, au problème. C'est un paradoxe là, que je vous propose, puis je vous mets sur la table des solutions vis-à-vis de la théorie puis de la géopolitique. Puis la situation actuelle de la géopolitique, je l'ai prévue en 2019, bien sûr, en octobre 2019, bien sûr, j'ai prévu la situation actuelle. Là. Puis j'ai beaucoup de fierté dans mon travail en géopolitique. Je suis bon au rock and roll, dans la géopolitique, l'entraînement physique aussi, mais c'est la danse que je préfère comme entraînement physique le plus. Là. Mais c'est bien sûr dans la géopolitique que je suis le plus doué. Puis bien sûr, mes théories puis stratégies pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord sont principalement qu'est-ce que je fais appel à tous et toutes à soutenir vis-à-vis mon travail artistique. Là. Pas mal de rock and roll, mais à part ça, tu sais, je suis pas si bon dans d'autres choses de sociales. La société, là, je suis quand même nul. Fait que, bon, je m'hydrate un peu. Et bien sûr, c'est quelque chose que je dois avoir à faire dans ce point de contingence, puis vivre. Oh yeah! Fait que c'est ça qui est ça, dans ce point de convergence, avoir bien sûr une histoire de les faire, bien sûr, dans ce point de compromis ici, qu'on est rendu bien sûr pour les faire, de l'avoir, puis de vivre en tant qu'aspi, en tant que neurodivergent. C'est sûr que les trois problèmes majeurs chez nous, chez les aspis, c'est le manque d'amis. J'ai pas besoin d'amis maintenant, je peux m'entendre complètement à 100%. Si vous voulez être mon ami à bénéfice, hein. Des amis avec bénéfice, surtout pour l'échange de massage. Je fais partie de la communauté LGBTQ. Je suis androgyne, pansexuel, monsieur, madame. J'ai perdu beaucoup d'amis, mais dernièrement, j'ai appris à accepter l'asperger parce que ça faisait des années qu'on m'en l'avait dit, puis je voulais pas l'accepter, ben que je suis différent, puis à cause de l'asperger, là, tu sais, ce mouvement fonctionnel, je vois le monde différemment, fait que j'ai tous ces malentendus, j'ai de la misère à garder l'emploi, puis tout ça. Puis c'est bien sûr aussi l'emploi, puis le taux de suicide, puis de dépression. J'ai vécu ça. Être en dépression puis suicidaire, là, c'est quelque chose qui est très malheureux chez les aspis. C'est 9 fois plus. C'est 9 fois plus élevé. Là. 9 fois plus élevé que chez la majorité des citoyens concitoyens. 9 fois plus, là. Imaginez-vous là, que c'est énorme, tu sais. Fait que c'est pour ça que je dis toujours, ben c'est quelque chose que je dois y travailler constamment. Parce que 9 fois plus, j'ai vécu la dépression puis le suicidaire. Qu'est-ce qui m'a fait sortir de ma dépression? C'est bien sûr avoir sorti de ma dépression, c'est quand j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. C'est quand j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte, cet événement, ça m'a vraiment fait sortir de ma dépression. C'est là que j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Québec, les Québécois et Québécoises, mes frères et sœurs aux États-Unis, bien sûr, qui sont ma famille, puis considérant en tant qu'une famille, des fois, on n'est pas 100%, mais on a des dysfonctions aussi, mais en tant qu'une famille élargie, là, au Québec, le Canada, vous êtes ma famille, puis c'est chez nous ici, puis je suis mes théories, puis protocole, puis le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, qu'est-ce que j'appelle le grand collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé. Puis bien sûr, c'est ça que je suis, puis c'est ça que je sais le plus, car d'autres choses, j'ai de la misère dans certaines choses de la vie, mais dans la géopolitique, la théorie, puis la stratégie, bien c'est sûr que c'est quelque chose que j'ai fait bien du développement, puis bien du travail indépendant. Donc je prends beaucoup de fierté dans ce travail indépendant de la géopolitique, surtout le fait que j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2019, en octobre, en novembre. J'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en octobre, en novembre 2019. Ça fait plus que 5 ans. J'ai même la preuve de ça. J'ai le travail en ligne. J'ai mis des vidéos sur YouTube. Fait que j'ai la preuve de celle-là, tu sais, c'est pas quelque chose que moi je peux pas prouver avec des preuves, tu sais. J'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant, mais d'une manière que mes thèses, mes théories, mes interprétations un peu des analyses en géopolitique peuvent être un peu intellectuelles, philosophiques, académiques. Juste pour faire un petit résumé, c'est que j'ai dit qu'à cause que bien des régions, des pays, des nations, des États n'ont pas été capables de régler leurs problèmes du 20e siècle, que ces problèmes vont recommencer au 20e siècle. Au 20e siècle. Fait que c'est ça qui arrive en grosse partie dans le monde. Tu sais, la Russie et l'Ukraine, c'est des problèmes, des conflits qui n'ont pas eu de résolution finale de la guerre froide qui a duré quand même quasiment 45 ans, 44 ans et 9 mois, là, entre 1947 et 1991. C'est beaucoup, là. C'est beaucoup de temps que ça a duré, hein, ce conflit-là de la guerre froide entre l'Union soviétique puis la Russie et l'Ukraine. C'est des conflits qui n'ont pas été capables d'avoir de résolution. Du 20e siècle, j'ai prévu que ces conflits-là vont reprendre. Au Moyen-Orient, Israël, Palestine, Israël, Hamas, là, Israël, Iran, c'est des conflits du 20e siècle aussi. Car le 11 février 1999, correction, 11 février 1979, 1979, 1979, pas 99, ça fait plus que 45 ans que le régime iranien aujourd'hui, la République islamique, a été fondée le 11 février 1979. Mais 11 février 1979. Fait que ces conflits-là aussi de la Chine puis le Taïwan, c'est des conflits du 20e siècle. Ici, je dis souvent qu'on a fait le grand compromis du français, les 10 millions de Québécois, puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre, tu sais, le grand compromis du français pour avoir la continuité de la paix, pour avoir l'harmonie, tu sais, continue. C'est sûr qu'on doit continuer toujours à faire du travail, dans le sens que le travail doit être fait quand même, continue, quotidien. C'est sûr que si moi je ne fais pas le travail, tu sais, si moi je ne fais pas le travail, bien sûr, c'est sûr qu'en tant qu'individu, je dois faire mon effort aussi. Si moi je ne fais pas l'effort, tu sais, il faut que j'en fasse un effort moi-même pour aussi vis-à-vis d'un autre individu qui peut-être, c'est difficile pour lui, pour elle, pour eux autres, d'apprendre puis de s'exprimer en français, tu sais. Fait que c'est sûr que moi aussi, je dois les encourager s'ils font un effort. Les inviter à écouter peut-être des chansons de Céline Dion, un film comme, je sais pas, comme Elvis Gratton ou Menteur ou Bon Cop, Bad Cop, ben ça c'est bilingue un peu, là, mais d'autres films québécois, là, comme, tu sais, on a bien, là, des films québécois, il y en a tellement, tu sais. Elvis Gratton, c'est pas le seul, là, mais c'est sûr qu'il y a Carmina, qu'il y a bien d'autres films comiques, là, je parle de la comédie un peu, mais il y a d'autres films aussi, c'est pas juste de la comédie, là, mais Les Lavigueurs déménagent. Il y a bien de cinéma québécois, là, mais pas juste La Petite Vie ou d'autres choses, là, mais c'est pas juste Céline Dion non plus, ou Rock Voisine, là, mais les Cowboys fringants, mais Bas Dommage, tout ça, mais c'est sûr que je les inviterai peut-être à écouter le Phaque du Nord, là, du Bas Dommage, qui est un peu comique, là, mais bon, etc., juste pour dire qu'il faut faire l'effort aussi en tant qu'individu, là, si on veut continuer avec le français. C'est sûr qu'il y a eu des finances du gouvernement Trudeau, je pense que c'était 350 millions là, sur plusieurs années là, pour le français du niveau fédéral, là, du financement fédéral là, en 2023. Là, je ne m'en souviens pas exactement, mais c'est plus que 300 millions repartis sur un couple d'années vis-à-vis pour la promotion du français à travers le Canada puis dans la Nouvelle-Province. Mais c'est sûr qu'il faut faire indépendamment. Ça, c'est mon gratte-ciel préféré. Je vous chante une chanson, puis je discute la TRD. Hein, pour ça, je fasse une petite discussion de la TRD. Ça, c'est la pyramide que je préfère, bien sûr, la pyramide que je préfère. Québécois et Québécoises, la pyramide que je préfère, c'est quelque chose que je préfère. La métropole de Montréal que je vous chante pour les pompiers et les camionneurs. Il faut le savoir pour le clair dans la province et dans l'Empire. Fondation de la République. Le roi est absent, mais vers le travers des litres à Québec. Merci pour les centrales. C'est pour ça qu'on a les lumières, qu'on voit l'océan à travers. C'est pas un océan qui nous entoure. De la métropole, c'est la rivière. Pas un océan qui nous entoure, de la métropole, c'est la rivière. Beaucoup de bisous, puis ça chante, avec des bisous dans les mains dans les airs. Ça boit pas, c'est lundi, ben peut-être son temps congé. S'ils sont en congé, c'est bien. Mais s'ils sont partis dans le sud, peut-être en Floride, je ne sais pas, il fait beau, il fait chaud dans la belle province. On a eu bien de la canicule, là, que je vous embrasse. Chez l'Asperger's, dans les choses de l'association sociale, je me... pas si bon, je regarde. Dans le rock'n'roll, là, que j'excelle, là, que je suis bon, ben je vous chante. Québécois, Québécois, c'est bien d'amour, vous me parlez pas d'amour, je deviens sourd, que je vous entends. Une chanson des étoiles de la guerre. Je veux dire savoir pour la défense qu'on en fasse. Les mains dans les airs, que ça claque des doigts. De la province qui regarde, qui viennent, qui apprennent. De l'apprentissage, pas besoin du bécherel pour que je conjugue. Puis ça sonne d'en haut. Pour que ça soit, pour regarde, puis ça fasse encore des grimaces, pour qu'ils me regardent. Si vous ne parlez pas d'amour, je veux rien savoir. Pas de temps à perdre. La vie est courte. Faites l'amour. Sinon, ben, gardez-vous loin de chez nous, de chez moi, j'arrête. Et oui, la métropole de Montréal, et voilà. La métropole de Montréal, j'adore venir ici. Fait que là, je me dirige chez nous parce que je veux pas trop tarder ici. Fait que je vous discute la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, parce que c'est fondamentalement cette théorie qu'il faut faire l'implémentation, bien sûr, pour en faire, bien sûr, de la théorie de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, pour la fusion du Canada et des États-Unis. Puis bien sûr, Donald Trump il a fait l'erreur, mais avant que je continue, car je suis un analyste théorique, bien sûr, indépendant dans la géopolitique, mes stratégies sont pour la fusion du Canada et des États-Unis dans un collectif de république démocratique, de partenariat public-privé fondamental. Fait que bien sûr, c'est des théories qu'il faut mettre en pratique. Fait que pour dire dans cette histoire que je suis ici dans la forêt pour la roche, pour les affaires, pour les avoir dans le coin d'avoir de regarde, c'est bien sûr ces choses qu'il faut qu'ils soient bien sûr dans l'envoûtement, bien sûr, dans ce compromis, bien sûr, pour avoir de la compromis, bien sûr, de la résolution du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Mais c'était, qu'est-ce que je vais me prononcer maintenant? Salutations aux pompiers. Si vous entendez des pompiers ou l'ambulance ou nos frères et sœurs en uniforme qui sont pas parfaits, même moi non plus. Hein. Je suis pas parfait, je vis avec mes cicatrices, la perte de mémoire, j'ai survécu à la COVID, la coronavirus, j'ai survécu, mais aujourd'hui je vis expédient quotidien, puis bien sûr la coronavirus, c'est quelque chose bien sûr qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même dans ce point de contingence que je suis rendu aujourd'hui, bien sûr, à le faire dans ce point de avoir de la visibilité aussi que je suis rendu, bien sûr, à le faire, avoir quelque chose que je vis. Ça a été une marche quand même difficile avec toutes mes cicatrices puis à monter sur la montagne, ça fait toujours plaisir, mais qu'est-ce que je veux déclarer maintenant? Il faut dire oui, il n'y a pas de non, il n'y a pas de peut-être. Nous, là, les Québécois, Canadiens, Québécois, puis les États-Unis, c'est réciproque. En tant que notre intérêt principalement, là, nous, là, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations économiques, financières, de défense, d'économie socioculturelle avec les États-Unis. Notre premier intérêt fondamental, là, quand ça vient à la politique externe, je parle pas des internes domestiques à l'intérieur du Canada, mais quand ça vient à l'extérieur, là, des externes, hein, notre relation externe, notre politique externe, il faut que, là, en principe, fondamentalement, comme intérêt principal, là, fondamentalement, nous, là, le Québec, le Canada, les États-Unis, puis c'est réciproque pour les États-Unis, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis. Et ça, c'est réciproque, tu sais. Et ça, c'est réciproque. Vous pouvez pas changer, on peut pas changer ça, tu sais. C'est des choses qui sont réciproques dans ce point de la sens d'avoir, bien sûr, pour l'affaire de ce point de contingence où que je vis, bien sûr. Fait que c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans le sens de la République, tu sais, dans le sens de la géopolitique pour l'affaire. C'est bien sûr quelque chose que je dois le faire, bien sûr, pour la contingence, de l'avoir, bien sûr, dans ces choses de contingence, d'avoir, bien sûr, c'est des choses que je dois même, moi-même, me prononcer ainsi, car c'est la vérité, hein. Il n'y a pas de nom, là, ça que je vais dire maintenant. C'est comme le, tu sais, le N à deux têtes, puis notre empire aura deux têtes à deux faces, comme le N. Tu sais, le symbole pour le pi mathématique, quand ça vient à la relation du cercle, du diamètre et de la circonférence. C'est bien sûr quelque chose qui nous touche, qu'on va avoir, bien sûr, dans ce point de convergence, d'avoir, bien sûr, de ces choses qu'on doit vivre dans ce point de contingence qu'on vit, bien sûr, dans l'harmonie, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis et puis eux autres aussi avec nous. C'était comme ça à la fin du 20e siècle. C'est comme ça maintenant, puis ça sera pendant des décennies. Ça change pas, ça, vous comprenez? Ça change pas, ces choses-là. Ça change pas. C'est constamment comme la constante. Tu sais, c'est constamment la même chose. C'est comme une constance mathématique, le symbole pi, qui c'est toujours 3.1415. Ça continue à l'infinitum. Fait que nous, c'est comme ça, on peut pas, il faut commencer par celle-là. Si on veut régler les problèmes, il faut dire oui. Les États-Unis, il faut qu'ils disent oui de la gauche, de la droite, tout centre. Et nous, il faut qu'on dise oui à ça. Il n'y a pas de non à ça, vous comprenez? Tu vois, on peut pas dire non à ça. Cette réalité géopolitique, on peut pas dire non. Fait que c'est pour ça que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est la solution, bien sûr, qu'il faut faire l'implémentation aussitôt, le plus tôt possible, où qu'on est rendu, bien sûr, aujourd'hui, à faire l'implémentation aussitôt, d'où qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui. Bien sûr, c'est paradoxe parce qu'on a 4 problèmes, puis c'est pareil. Pour ça que là, je vais juste discuter de la TRD, hein, je vais pas discuter d'autres choses. L'Asperger, comme je l'ai dit, c'est pas une maladie mentale. Le problème, c'est le taux de chômage il est à 80%, là, fait que c'est énorme. On peut pas avoir plus que ça, là, dans une communauté petite comme la mienne, tu sais, c'est une petite communauté, puis le taux de chômage est énorme. C'est 11 fois plus que vous, hein, les 99,56%, c'est 99,56%. Fait que c'est des choses qu'il faut prendre en considération. Fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr, que moi-même, je dois vivre avec. C'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il me faut la contingence d'avoir dans ce domaine, d'avoir de la pluralité, bien sûr, pour avoir le contexte intègre ou quand, bien sûr, on se développe de point de vue d'avoir du développement dans le sens du développement, donc avoir du développement dans le sens de cette pluralité, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on aille une affaire d'avoir, d'une histoire, d'avoir pour la pluralité, d'avoir une solution, tu sais. Parce que vraiment, qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant? C'est bien sûr ce protocole où qu'on vit, bien sûr, dans cette crise financièrement, tu sais. Fait que bien sûr, tu sais, les 4 problèmes qui nous touchent le plus vis-à-vis où qu'on est rendu pour point de vue des économies, tu sais. C'est un point de vue de l'économie. C'est bien sûr, c'est un point de vue pour le faire, bien sûr, dans ce point de contingence où que moi-même, je suis en crise financière, mais les 4 points de la crise financière de moi-même envie quelque chose de moi-même, que je sois vraiment dans ce point de contingence ou que je vis moi-même, bien sûr, dans ce point de contingence. Que moi, ça va pas bien. Mon seul malaise, là, c'est économique en ce moment. Je vais vous le dire honnêtement, là, à part l'économie, le stress financier, comme ça, j'ai pas bien d'autres stress. C'est juste du point de vue économique, tu sais. Fait que là, les 4 problèmes majeurs pour le Canada et les États-Unis en Concorde, c'est bien sûr, pour le Canada et en Concorde, c'est la même chose, bien sûr, pour le Canada et le Concorde, bien sûr. Le problème, c'est les prix augmentent, tu sais. L'augmentation des prix, ça n'arrête pas d'augmenter des prix dans ce point de contingence, de point d'augmenter, bien sûr, les prix augmentent, ils n'arrêtent pas d'augmenter, bien sûr, c'est quelque chose, bien sûr, que ça n'arrête pas, ça ne cesse pas. Tous les jours, les prix augmentent. Le problème, c'est les cartes de crédit qui continuent. Il y a un taux de cartes de crédit, là, il y a un record. Tellement de cartes de crédit, bien sûr, maintenant, ils sont en train d'utiliser leurs cartes de crédit. Fait qu'il y a ce problème de cartes de crédit, multiplier la dette, le surendettement vis-à-vis de la carte de crédit. Vis-à-vis ce problème-là, s'ajoute le loyer. Les loyers augmentent, même le mien, je peux pas me plaindre, là. Moi, ça a été 10 maximum, tu sais. Ça a été 10 maximum, tu sais. 10 $. Peut-être 10 exactement, là, mais je veux dire, pour moi, pas plus que 10, tu sais. C'est pas plus que 10 moi-même dans ce point de contingence, tu sais, pour avoir, bien sûr, pas plus que 10. Dans mon cas, tu sais, c'est pas plus que 10. sais, fait que c'est des choses que moi-même, je dois le faire, tu sais, bien sûr, dans ce point-là où que je vis maintenant, tu sais. Fait que pas plus que 10 pour moi. Fait qu'aussi, le problème, c'est les cartes de crédit, le surendettement, bien sûr, et le taux de chômage, le taux de sans-emploi augmente. Et bien sûr, l'autre problème, là, c'est les prix qui augmentent, les salaires. Ces 4 problèmes-là, la stagnation du salaire. Les salaires stagnent. Il y a la stagnation du salaire. Les salaires, là, ils augmentent pas. Fait qu'il y a une stagnation du salaire. Comprenez? Fait que ces problèmes-là se rajoutent. Le salaire stagne, la stagnation du salaire. Fait que c'est pour ça que je vous dis que la TRD, c'est un paradoxe, que je vous la présente à la table avec les millions de bisous des châteaux pour la construction des 4 là, sur la frontière du Canada et des États-Unis pour bâtir, construire le Colisée le plus grand au monde pour l'avoir du sport à perpétuité, le temple de la déesse oubliée, la maison pyramide écarlate, c'est rouge, la pyramide maison du dragon, puis avec le palais du peuple arc-en-ciel, même bien sûr, pour la fusion du Canada et des États-Unis, c'est la TRD, il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation, parce que la même situation économique, c'est pareil aux États-Unis. Fait que la TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Qu'est-ce que c'est la théorie d'intégration monétaire? C'est la théorie que les Européens ont fait l'implémentation dans les années 90. Fait que c'est pour ça que je vous dis, bien, il faut faire l'implémentation de la TRD du point de vue des États-Unis et au Canada et aux États-Unis ensemble. La TRD, bien sûr, c'est la solution. C'est pour ça que je vous dis, bien sûr, parce que c'est la solution qui se trouve à être la solution en ce moment, tu sais. Parce que sinon, là, on s'en va vers un effondrement financier sévère. C'est ça le problème maintenant. On n'a pas d'autre solution. Quelque chose qui ressemble à ma TRD, en principe, il faut que ça soit implémenté parce qu'on vit une crise, on est dans un potentiel crise financière sévère. Hein? C'est sévère, c'est grave. Hein? On est rendu à avoir, bien sûr, un surendettement énorme. Hein? On est en train d'avoir un effondrement. T'sais? On est en train d'avoir un effondrement. Financièrement, là, il n'y a pas d'autre solution en ce moment qui peut nous sauver du point de vue. Du point de vue où on est rendu aujourd'hui, il n'y a tellement pas de solution à ce problème qui continue d'augmenter. Ça augmente à tous les jours. Hein. À tous les jours, la dette augmente. La dette augmente à tous les jours. Fait que c'est ça le problème. Le surendettement, il n'arrête pas, ça continue. À tous les jours, il y a bien sûr les banques. Il y a bien sûr du surendettement au quotidien. C'est à chaque jour. Les prix augmentent en plus. Fait que c'est pour ça que je vous dis, mais c'est parce qu'il n'y a pas de solution à ça. La solution, ben, c'est la TRD. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution vraiment à part la TRD, tu sais. C'est la théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD qui inclut la TRD. Dans la TRD, ça inclut la théorie d'intégration monétaire. La théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est la théorie que les Européens ont fait l'implémentation dans les années 90. Ouais, fait que là, je vous l'explique. Fait que concentrez-vous là-dessus. La TRD, il faut faire l'implémentation de la TRD québécoise. Il n'y a pas de solution. Sinon, la TRD, fait que je vous l'explique maintenant le plus simplement possible que je puisse. Fait que dans ma TRD, ça inclut la théorie d'intégration monétaire. La théorie d'intégration monétaire, encore une fois, c'est la théorie que les Européens ont fait l'implémentation dans les années 90. 90. Dans les années 90. Les Européens, ils ont fait en Europe, les Allemands, les Italiens, les Français ont fait l'implémentation de cette théorie, la théorie d'intégration monétaire, qui est inclue dans ma théorie. Fait que dans ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, est intégrée cette théorie. Fait que je vous l'explique maintenant. On va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000. Fait que toute la dette publique-privée, incluant mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000, toute la dette publique-privée, on va faire de la refusion ensemble. Et qu'encore une fois, qu'est-ce que c'est la théorie d'intégration monétaire? Cette théorie que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation dans les années 90, ça a impliqué que l'Allemagne, la Belgique, la France, l'Italie ont détruit leur banque centrale nationale. Ils ont fait de la création de la banque centrale de l'Europe. Puis ils ont fait de la création et mise en marché d'une nouvelle monnaie, l'euro, dans les années 90. C'est ça la théorie d'intégration monétaire qui est intégrée dans ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il faut tenir ça en compte. Il faut que vous comprenez celle-là à 100%. Que dans ma TRD est intégrée cette théorie financière que les Européens ont faite par la création de leur euro et leur banque centrale nationale. Un peu de banque centrale nationale, en effet. L'Allemagne, tout ça, ils ont détruit ça en des années 90. Ils ont laissé faire ça. Les banques centrales nationales, il y a une banque centrale multinationale qui sert comme banque centrale de plusieurs pays. Fait qu'on va faire d'une manière binationale, à l'impériale, pour le Canada et les États-Unis. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette public-privé, mon 10 000, ton 10 000, son 10 000, de côte à côte. Fait que mon 10 000 j'ai une 10 000 de dette à la banque royale. J'ai pas de carte de crédit personnellement. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, mon 10 000, ton 10 000 de côte à côte, toute cette dette-là, canadienne, publique ainsi que privée, on va faire la refusion, soit la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis, on va faire de l'addition ensemble de notre dette avec la dette des États-Unis. Tout cet argent-là, mis ensemble, ça va fonder l'argent initial pour la création d'une nouvelle banque centrale, soit la banque centrale impériale de la République, la nouvelle République impériale qu'on va constituer ensemble par l'implémentation de ma TRD. On va faire la création d'une nouvelle monnaie basée qui aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis, qui va s'appeler l'UI, U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. Unité d'échange universelle, unité d'échange universelle. Oui, unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Oui, unité d'échange universelle aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. Oui. U point unité, point échange. Ou unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange. L'unité d'échange universelle aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Ce taux d'intérêt de 10%, là, ça peut être en bas de 10, pas plus. Avec cette théorie, la création de cette nouvelle monnaie basée sur la valeur des États-Unis, on va finir avec la frontière. On va faire la création de ces deux institutions de partenariat public-privé, soit l'armée du dragon, l'armée impériale, pour la sécurité service défense, c'est bien sûr pour la sécurité service défense, c'est bien sûr pour la constitution, bien sûr, de cette nouvelle union. On va faire un passeport commun, on va faire un grand recensement, on va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, on va bâtir les 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire. On va bâtir ces 44 tunnels, on va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, on va financer les gens au tourisme, on va financer les gens, bien sûr, à faire du bien commun, on va financer pour bâtir ces 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire, on va bâtir plus de centrales d'Hydro-Québec, on va faire la réhabilitation de notre frères et sœurs concitoyens qui ont perdu leur liberté dans les incarnations, on va leur donner du travail dans ces 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre. Si une guerre thermonucléaire commence, on va pouvoir bâtir ces 44 tunnels, on va faire un nouveau passeport commun, Canada et États-Unis, bien sûr, on va faire un recensement, une mobilisation de la population de toutes les 10, les 50 et les 3 provinces de la montagne, après ça, de côte à côte, on va faire bien sûr de nouvelles institutions, bien sûr de l'armée pour la sécurité, service, défense de la Légion, puis je suis rendu où j'ai commencé à m'hydrater, c'est bien parfait ça. Et bien sûr, pour la contingence, on va continuité, bien sûr, pour avoir la continuité de la civilisation du collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, on va bâtir ces 44 tunnels. Et bien sûr, on va avoir financement des concitoyens et concitoyennes à faire l'entraînement physique et du tourisme à travers l'Empire, du tourisme intra-impérial pour bien sûr la solidification de l'esprit de corps, pour le bien-être de la société, bien sûr. On va financer le transport en commun, on va financer bien sûr rebâtir plus de ponts, rebâtir et reconstruire l'infrastructure du collectif de l'Amérique, bien sûr du Nord, les travailleurs publics, on va pouvoir mettre en fonction, bien sûr, pour cet empire qu'on va constituer de la République démocratique de ce nouveau empire, bien sûr, par cette union, par l'implémentation de ma TRD, la création de l'unité d'échange universel, unité, E point échange, U point universel, UI. On ne s'ostinera pas en anglais, c'est pareil. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel, le UI aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%, bien sûr. On va rebâtir l'infrastructure du Canada des États-Unis. On va finir avec la frontière. On va se fusionner. On va signer ces accords le 9 septembre sur la montagne, bien sûr. Cette nouvelle constitution pour la union perpétuelle, cette union perpétuelle du Canada et des États-Unis, bien sûr, ensemble, qu'on va constituer ensemble pour l'union perpétuelle de ce nouveau empire, puis on va se fusionner les 10, les 50, les 3 pour les 63 entités du nouveau empire. On va défendre le français par la continuité, bien sûr, à faire comment qu'on fait aujourd'hui, par l'individu puis le collectif, l'individu puis le macro, citoyen souverain, individu souverain puis les citoyens souverains, bien sûr, à continuer à constituer à l'apprentissage du français, puis à faire un effort individuel pour le français, pour le collectif. Fait que prêter allégeance, les gens, vous êtes famille, c'est ça le rêve. Le royaume du dragon et de la déesse qui danse, c'est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé pour le fusionnement du Canada des États-Unis, puis surtout par la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, en prenant toute la dette publique-privée, en fondant ce nouveau collectif. Cette nouvelle monnaie, UI. On va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%, on va faire bien du bien en commun avec cette théorie de la refusion de la dette. Financer les gens à l'entraînement physique. Financer les gens au tourisme. On va financer les gens au tourisme, on va faire les financements, bien sûr, pour le faire, bien sûr, dans le point d'avoir du financement pour faire les gens qui dansent, bien sûr, pour les gens qui soient concitoyens à la danse, bien sûr, pour que, bien sûr, ils fassent de la danse dans ce point de convergence. Puis le point de convergence où on est rendu aujourd'hui pour le point impérial, bien sûr, d'avoir la contingence, d'avoir un esprit du 21e siècle pour le collectif, bien sûr, de l'esprit pour le collectif, bien sûr, dans ce point de convergence où on est rendu, bien sûr, dans ce point de collectif où on vit aujourd'hui, dans le point majeur de la Troisième Guerre mondiale pour la faire la défense pour le collectif, bien sûr, c'est quelque chose qu'on doit faire ensemble, surtout pour le faire de concitoyens, citoyens, avoir, bien sûr, de ces points de vivre ensemble en commun pour la TRD, pour la création de UI, unité d'échange universelle. C'est quelque chose comme ça qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans cette constitution, bien sûr, d'avoir des points de convergence où qu'on vit, bien sûr, dans ce vivre, bien sûr, dans ce domaine, bien sûr, d'avoir des finances, puis la TRT, de la refusion de la dette. Ah, c'est ça. Moi aussi. One head. Doesn't work. Get ready for some cadence. Cadence at the top of the mountain and back, and we're gonna head back to headquarters. Getting a bit on the hungry side, got some ice cream, so here we are at the top of the mountain, Belvedere, gonna go into the darkness. That's how we're gonna get ready for some cadence, freestyle mode, pledge your allegiance. We're gonna pass by the city and we're gonna check it in the back and check it in the front, and that's what we're gonna get doing here, you know, to getting on that love and getting on that bees and getting on that, gonna get it on that left and on the right and on those butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors and firefighters, and that's what we got, and that's what we're gonna get drilling with that lovebirds and gonna get it for the left and for the right and all those to getting on the left and on the side and all those who gotta get it on those bees. Gonna give someone else rock and roll to get it on the left. Get ready for the cadence. Get ready, we're gonna sing it on the go, and that's what we got, and that's what we gotta get drilled, man. Getting on that nice. See, look at that. That's what we got, and that's what we do, you know. To getting on the go side of things, you know. Gotta put it on that, eh? Here we got. Yeah. That's what I got, man. See, that is on the go and on the left, and that is, of course, the beautiful, beautiful skyscrapers. That's where we are, and here we are, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful flowers here, and that's what we have to be doing on that, and that's what we gotta get doing on that, and you know, we gotta get on that love side of things to get it now. See how beautiful it is? That's that beautiful bar place. So nice. Just love these flowers here. See, that's my favorite skyscraper, the pyramid, and that's what we got. There we are. That's the one. Here we go. None of us. In the darkness, Get ready. Cadence. In the darkness, cadence. Those lights are the lights of the city. We traverse the darkness again. As thou shalt see in the dark. Get ready for the cadence. Freestyle mode, 21st of July. For the Dragon Army. Special cadence for the Dragon Army. Special cadence for the Dragon Army. As we head back to my headquarters, gonna watch the steps for the Empire. Pledge your allegiance, legions. Dragon Army, thou art Dragon Army. And for brotherhood and sisterhood. For the 93. You know who you be. I'm still getting there. Bury me with Papa Crowley. A third of me up in New Jersey. A third of me up in the city of the pyramids. A third of me up in the city of the pyramids. A third of me up in the city of the pyramids. A third of me up in the back of the Belvedere right here on this mountain. Ready for that cadence. Get ready for cadence. H is the snap word, just like that gridiron football. Super Bowl 47, aka Blackout Bowl, Hardball Ball style. Or 49ers winning, or Tom Brady winning the last Super Bowl with 13-3 against the Rams. Last Super Bowl with the Patriots, the lowest ever score. Any one of those. H is the snap word. On 4. Use only if you're a Dragon Army. Potential supporter, lover. Otherwise, better not use on 4. H. Ready we go. On the mountain in the darkness. That's just how we rock and roll. For the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, and the plumbers. Gotta not forget the train conductors. Gotta step in front of the other. Got some lights and got some darkness. Got some dragons and some dragonesses. And you know just how we be. That's the dragon that you see. Hey, we roll it up. You know that just how we got. Sometimes just we gotta do. And we see the blue. Blood, sweat, and tears. And you know that our time is coming near. For the Empire, the Republic. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We don't need no magic potion. Where we are, that rubbing lotion. Hey. For some of our dragons are black. Some of our dragons are white. Some of our dragons are black, white. Some of our dragons are white, black. Some of our dragons are rainbow. Firefighters. Gotta march for them. For the nurses, for the doctors. For the plumbers, train conductors. Hey, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We got some rivers, got some valleys. Marching, that's another tally. Hey. We got Alabama. We got Alberta. Double A, jump those letters. Go to Quebec, that's where we now. And you know we got the sea. Say California. We got that sea in Colorado. Spin me with some, and we got Nebraska. Hey, we got the North and South Dakota. We got some T's, the double T's. What they be? Hey, they be Texas and Tennessee. We got that T's in the Empire. Got that T's. Got that Tennessee. Got that Texas where they be. Got that Texas where they be. Got that left. Got that right. Got that Ohio. Got that W, that Wyoming. Got that Wyoming. Got that. Hey, got that P. That Pennsylvania. Got that P. That Pennsylvania. Got that P. That Pennsylvania. Got some do's, got some don'ts. And got some do's and got some don'ts. Got some fabric, that's the lope. We got some food, we got some soap. We got some by the river. We got some by the mountain. We got some up and got some down. We got some crowns, we got some frowns. We got some forests. We got some rivers. We got some valleys. We got some beets, we got some sugar. We got some corn, we got some melon. We got some tulips and some turnips. We got some kisses and some lips. We got some tulips and some turnips. We got some kisses, got some lips. We got some turnips, got some tulips. Got some kisses, got some lips. Got some wine and got some wine. The wind, the wine. Got some Ontario and Nova Scotia. Got some BC. That's that British, that Columbia. Got that New York. Got that Washington, got New Jersey. Got some San Francisco, love it. Got some D, that Delaware. Ain't nobody close, that gotta beware. Got some time, that ticking clock. Got some marching boots on. Got some time, that ticking clock. Got the marching boots and head a hawk Island, Montreal. Freestyle mode, Dragonomic cadence is our sentence. 31st, 34th, maybe 40th, maybe 44th. Sometimes we just gotta do, gotta see and gotta do. For the love and for the blue. And another gotta yet. That's the army dragon says. For the left and for the right. For the bite and for the bats. Army, that's a sight. Dragon army satellites. Got some dragons and dragonesses. Some of our dragons are dragonesses. Spelled out with some extra S's. Got some dragons, dragonesses. Spelled out with some dragonesses. Spelled out with some more S's. Hey, you gotta feel the essence. In the forest, that's the cadence. That is our beloved sentence. Dragon army. That's the one the Empire be. Dragon army. That's the one that Empire be. Dragon army. That's the one that Empire be. Gotta sing so that you see. From the bottom to the top. Ain't the hawk on the clock. God, the goddess got some kisses. Rock and roll, you know we miss it. 40 SSD, we legions. Security, service, and defense. Dragon army. That's our cadence, that's our justice. We can't be bought, we can't be paid. We can't be bought, we can't be bribed. Gotta get the fair pay. We can't be bought, we can't be bribed. Gotta get the fair pay. We can't be bought, we can't be bribed. Gotta get the fair play. We can't be bought, we can't be bribed. Gotta get the fair play. We can't be bought, we can't be bribed. Gotta get the fair play. Hey, gotta say yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. We gotta marching for the homos. We gotta love our rainbow brothers and those sisters, yep. Gotta get some white and black. Gotta get some left and right. Hey, we are dragons, not some demons. Hey, we are dragons, not some demons. Hey, we are dragons, not some demons. We can be bought, we can be bribed. For the firefighters, marching for the nurses and the daycare workers in the daycare changing diapers, that's the smelly. Hey, you know the youth, the innocent, with the children playing joyous, and we all singing that chorus. With the children playing joyous, and we all singing that chorus. With the children playing joyous, and we all singing that chorus. And with the children playing joyous, and we all singing that chorus. From the darkness we go in the light, and you know we're army tight. From the darkness in the light, that's the mistress army sights. See, now we're back into the light. From the darkness, from the darkness into the light. Now we're going back to headquarters. Yeah, singing from the darkness in the light, saying that's the shadow bright. From the darkness in the light, saying those the shadows bright. From the darkness in the light, seeing though their shadows bright. From the darkness in the light. Oh, we gotta sing that chorus. Dragon army, that's we go. From the mountain to the rivers. For the butchers and the bakers and the nurses and the truckers. For the train conductors and the workers gotta be. And you know they working free. Gotta give us all some left from some right and going up and down. And you know we making sounds. One foot in front of the other, we're coming from the darkness. From the mountain east and west, north and south we round about. Hey, got some Georgia, got some Georgia, got some Florida, got some of that. Up and down you know we go. 40M we got Montana. And we got that Mississippi. And we got that Manitoba. And we got that Massachusetts. Too many yes, I cannot say, you say it for me. Massachusetts, too many yeses, I can say it, you say it for me. Massachusetts. Massachusetts. That state with too many S's. Massachusetts. Yes, Massachusetts. Love you, Massachusetts. Too many S's, Massachusetts. I really CHSST. You guys gotta go with that pronunciation with the MASSCHUTS. Is just kind of rock and roll. Massachusetts. Don't shoot us, Massachusetts. Boston, that's good enough. You know where Boston is. It's in Mass. MASSS. Yeah. 63 we got the Yukon, Northwest Territories, we got that Labrador, we got Prince Edward Island, we got New Jersey, we got that Maine, we got Vermont, we got that Maine, we got Vermont, we got that Maine, we got Vermont. We got New Jersey going down. We got that Washington the front. We got some mountains, that Banff. Up in Calgary, that's a Banff. From Alberta, got Alabama, got that Arkansas. Arkansas, and then we got that Kansas. We got Arkansas, or Arkansas, because we got Kansas. We got that New Mexico, just so that you love to know. And you got that rock and roll, from the dragons, here we go. From the mountain that you see, that the rocks. Oh, we turn it left to right. From the mountain that you be, we going west in harmony. That you know we gotta be. Now we gotta rock and roll. On the train conductors on the go. Got some seconds on the clock. Got some ticking talk. We're going west. We're going east. We're going north and south. You know we got the feast. With some apples and some fruits. Got some farmers shake the boots. Cadence, you gotta look. For the Empire, Imperial Dragonomic cadence. Use only if you're an allied army heading back to headquarters. On the thirsty, hungry. Gotta get that HYDRATE. Encouraging all to work out, train, exercise. And when you listen to this cadence, if you're a Dragonomy, loyal or not, otherwise let it be on the same, on the left and on the right. And that's what's gotta be. And so we gotta get that rock and roll for the left and for the side, and gotta give it for those, of course, who get it on the toes, and always for the electricians, the plumbers, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters, and all those going in and left, and all those going on the right side, on the left, and switching those lanes prudently across the 63 for the Empire. 4 seconds. It's plenty of time sometimes. Just make sure you step. Pledge your allegiance, our family. And gotta slow down a little bit of that cadence now, because it's a bit late. And now I gotta be mindful that I'm in the public and got added responsibilities, duties, and obligation not to. It's on a Monday. Somebody might be waking up early. There's children. And gotta whisper that cadence now. We gotta whisper, get that ASMR. Anybody want a finance commission that I do as ASMR? Dragonomic cadence. Commission, and that's what it is, and that's how we rock and roll. Get it for the public-private partnership, the dream, the dancing goddess, and the dragon kingdom, the empire. It's always butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians. How about those aviators? Those in the planes now, flying some of those across 63. Those dock workers, Maybe those docks, ships are being ported coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Ships are being ported coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We got from Montreal to San Francisco. How many ships across the lines, different ports? Montreal got a big port. Vancouver got a big port. Halifax got a port. San Francisco got a port. New York, New Jersey got ports. Across the east and the west coast got many ports. Dock workers, crane operators, construction workers, butchers, bakers, firefighters, LOV. The Financial Times supported DRT for the creation of the UE, for our imperial rising of the individual sovereign. Gonna build a fort for perpetual sports and perpetuities for perpetual sports, and for the DRT as we're gonna clock in and clock right, and that's how we're gonna get doing, as we are. Tough economic times now, financial stress, but it's always something which we have to be on the remission side of things, and that's how we got now, the butchers and the bakers, the nurses, firefighters, somebody now. Firefighters across the 63. Let's get a cadence for our firefighters, cadence for our public workers, public bus. They be driving on the bus, they be driving on the lust. That's all we got. That's all we do. That's all we gotta get that rock and roll. That's what we gotta do. Rock and roll up in the sea, up in the U. That they gotta do. For the left and right and side. For the grass. Hey, cadence. Going west, 24/7. For the firefighters, plumbers, boys and girls in blue, ain't nobody perfect. We gotta sing that cadence for our brothers and sisters who take their second and third and even fourth chances to do their criminal rehabilitation. We salute our brothers and sisters who are gonna help us build the empire in the 44, who do their second chances, the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. We gotta salute them as well. Blood, sweat, and tears, second, third chances, rehabilitation, and the North American Collectif pledge you allegiance, Dollar Family, and the Dragon Army, public-private partnership for total S, total security, total service, total defense, SSD, total security, total service, total defense. Something which we have to be doing, and we have to be implementing on the collective side of things. Here, I'm just gonna press the button. I'm just gonna press the button on the side of the things now, which we are here collectively, and we gotta get on that circumstantial side of things, and that's how we have to be doing, and that's how we have to be doing on that, and we're gonna have to be doing on the zig and on the zag, and turn prudently here. Wait, of course, look, there's a light, there's a shadow on the light, the black and white and gray. Sometimes they got that bus 66, and that's what we got sometimes, and got different buses, bus drivers. Montreal to San Francisco, we got train conductors. Here's a whispered cadence. We got some stars and satellites. We got some dragons and dragonesses.